There's always something.
Always something.
Never before have we had greater face a complex, rapidly changing world. Think of it a moment.
It is a world in which supersonic speeds are commonplace. It is a world that has seen the coming of the atomic bomb. It has seen the rise of the total state, the dictator, and the mass man. It is a world of new sensations, new excitements, new distractions.
So much to be learned by so many in so little time.
And I suppose you're here with no agenda, as per usual?
On the contrary, I'm here for comics.
How's your comic book collection, Brody?
Oh, it's going good, but I've been...
A mission to take care of. But
Yeah.
so in this DC All In, hey, there you go. In this DC, by the way, with the amazing, who's the artist on that? It's Jim Chung, isn't it? Who just, or no, it's Jimenez. Jim Chung's the cover artist. Jimenez is the regular artist on that. But remember at the very end of all of that, once we get to like the lead up to Dark Knight's Metal or Death Metal, they established that like secret base watchtower thing that was like the villains and the heroes would come together and work together and try to solve their problems. I just realized I got to make my bet.
That was when, what's it called? They were having to start to deal with all those freaking Celestial guys.
Yeah, it was the Celestial guys, and then it was the the multiverse is back, but it's growing. Like we have to go check out what all of that is. So they established like that secret base that was like the big satellite shaped like the totality, and all the bad guys and all the heroes hung out there. So I looked this up last night because in All In they established the new watchtower. Yeah. And I'm like, well, what happened to the other one? Nothing. It's just there.
I don't actually remember. I think it might have just like stopped being a thing.
It was. No, I looked it up because I was like, I feel like a big Justice League event where their base gets blown up would at least make like Bleeding Cool headlines or something, right?
Because they had it, what was it? They had it after, they still had it after Death Metal.
Yes.
So it must have been sometime in between then and now.
I think
so
what
maybe
it
was
is,
after Dark Crisis? Maybe?
I think it has to have been, and I think it just goes back to the typical DC thing that we always talk about of, we have plans. No, we don't. Forget about them. Because
we don't have
so now I'm kind of waiting for Snyder or Tinian or somebody to remember it's there, and we're gonna get like a really cool arc where it's like, do you remember this? Did we abandon it? Oh, what's inside of it? Like,
do you remember these things that we were doing?
do you? I mean, they admitted in All In that they don't even know what they're doing with their properties half the time. So I do not blame them. But yes, guys, welcome back to another issue of Foil Variant. It is me, your host, Spencer Baculi, with my other host and good friend, Andrew Rodriguez. And yes, sorry about that little weird lateness. We just had to take care of some things, and then YouTube was being YouTube, and you probably saw it. Like, the intro went all weird. You saw us for like a second, but we're here. It's all taken care of. Do not worry. We are here to talk comic books with all of you good folks. But before we get started...
Fear not.
Andrew, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, man. It was a surprisingly good week for comics, and by surprisingly good week, I mean that in the sense that I bought a few DC books, and they weren't complete and utter trash.
They weren't awful. I know, it's so weird. We were talking earlier this week, but it's like I can't believe I put a DC book in my pull list. Like, it's so weird walking out and having that
Right?
all-in special and being like, oh yeah, I remember that I like these characters. Maybe not what's happening with them lately, but I was surprised because you and I earlier, like, we were like, oh, this week kind of sucks. Like, there's nothing, and I was like, oh yeah, it is kind of light, but what we got was really, really good. I would say I don't think I walked away from anything this week completely disappointed. There are some things in books I didn't like that we'll obviously talk about. Okay, I say I didn't walk away disappointed, but I did read an issue of Absolute Power, which the resolution's good, but I hate that event so much. Like, it's such a bad event. I'm so glad we're done with it. I'm so glad it was only 4 issues. I genuinely thought we were looking at a 6er here.
Oh man, a 6-issue event for that would have been the pits.
I don't even know how you could extend it that long. Like, there's just nothing in it.
Yeah, I mean, it has to do with freaking Waller, something we've dealt with a billion times before. It's no longer interesting, and it hasn't been for decades.
100%. Yeah, it deals with Waller, and it deals with, like, it's sort of almost the same situation we ran into with Blood Hunt, right? Where it's like, okay, Amanda Waller went and tricked all the world. You know, she put out deep fake AI videos of all the heroes killing people, and she's turned public opinion, and it's like, this is still my fundamental problem with this event, is that it's predicated on, oh, look, Amanda Waller, we all got videos of Superman killing people and the Flash crushing people and Green Lantern using his ring to just grab people and squish them. And it's like, and everybody believes it.
Right.
But it's
like, how short are y'all's memories?
How short are y'all's memories? And also,
They were
like,
just saving the world yesterday.
and they're not Marvel, right? Like, if you guys read the JLA Avengers crossover way back from the early 2000s, Kurt Busiek, George Perez, it's fun, it's amazing, I recommend it if you haven't. But at one point, the heroes, obviously, like, the Avengers go to the DC world and the Justice League goes to the Marvel world, and there's this really awesome bit where they're encountering, like, the world, and they're all sort of taken aback by it. Like, the Justice League lands in New York and Marvel, and they're like, why do they hate us? Like, why are they all, like, yelling at us? Why are they so distrustful? Why does nobody want anything to do with us? And then the Avengers are like, this is messed up. Why does everybody love them? Like, they land in Metropolis, and everybody's like, can I get an autograph? You guys are so cool. They're going up to the Scarlet Witch and being like, I love your costume. You're, like, who are you? And that's the fundamental difference, is, like, DC world loves their heroes. Like, they like them. They trust them. In Marvel, that's where you get the distrust, the Spider-Man's a menace, the Civil War. You don't get that in DC, and to try and make that a thing in DC, it just feels really, you're stretching my suspension of disbelief, if you will.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I'm so over like, contrived ideas. Like, hey, we're gonna do this thing that at its very, and this has been a problem with a lot of superhero media lately. This was a big issue that I took with the MCU Iron Boy, aka what they tried to sell us as Spider-Man films, because when you make the entire premise for your story something that otherwise would just not be believable, you lose me. You lose me right from the start.
100%.
So, for example, for freaking all of the, you kind of get away with it in Homecoming, but in Far From Home and in No Way Home, the entire setup is Peter doing something completely retarded, and so I automatically, like, the way he was acting at the beginning of No Way Home especially was like, you're telling me that one of the most brilliant minds on the planet is going to be just a complete imbecile constantly. I'm sorry, you lose me right away. And something like this, like in the DC universe, Amanda Waller getting away with convincing the entire world that all of these heroes who have spent decades trying to save the world and successfully doing so, I don't understand. Like, how do you actually pull that one over? I see you in the chat, Zero. I'm literally watching as I'm talking. Windows drop my mic volume. I don't know what's going on right now.
That was super weird. I muted, but that was super weird. I don't know what happened there. You did drop on us. That was...
Yeah, it's literally doing it as I'm talking. Like
So-
I have it maxed out, and then it's dropping as I'm talking.
It just did it again. It did it right there. It like peaked up a second and then it went flat again. And it wasn't just like a normal volume spike. I know what those are, but that was Windows. Get it together. You said you're still on 11, right? Or you're on 10?
I'm on 10.
Yeah, I am too. Like I refuse. I will stick with whatever Windows system I have until they force me out of it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which
I don't
I-
know what to tell you, Dozer. It's
Yeah.
just it's doing it because
Turn-
it's doing it.
Turn up your speakers, I guess. I mean, that's not really a solution, but that's really all we've got.
Yeah. I'm literally turning it up all the way and then watching it go down as I'm talking.
That's so weird. But I guess before we get into everything, let's say hi to the chat. Obviously, we started off. We had freaking Punk in here asking how many symbiotes are there. There are a lot there, and they're just making new ones sort of every day. And I'm always torn, Andrew. And I know we can talk about this for a little bit because like I like symbiotes, and some of them are cool, but then sometimes there's just way too many of them. But every time there's an event and they're like, we're introducing new symbiotes, I always go, I'm so tired of this. Like, I don't care anymore. But then they always introduce like one that's super, super cool and works. And I'm like, fine, we can have one more symbiote. And then that's just like, fine, we can have one more. Fine, we can have one more. And now I've got a whole like Shazam family full of symbiotes.
I think it's a matter of taking the good with the bad when it comes to the symbiotes. Because, yeah, you're right. Like, we do get some really cool ones, but then we get a bunch that's like, these are okay or kind of dumb, and I don't need them. But I end up getting, one or two, like, really cool ones along with that. Like, we've had this conversation already off air. I'm all about Misery. Like,
Yeah.
I'm 1000% here for her, and there goes my mic dropping all the way down to 33.
I heard
when
it
had up
again.
at
Yeah,
90.
what's happening? This is not us, guys. I
genuinely don't
promise you. This is Windows. This is
a Windows issue.
we've had this problem, even just us, hanging out playing Fortnite over the weekend. Like it's happening. So
Yeah.
bear with us. We'll get it fixed someday when Bill Gates is done taking over the world. He'll get back to this and he'll fix it.
Yeah.
What did you? Here's a question I've been wanting to ask you, symbiote related, and now we might as well. What did you think of that era where Flash went into space with the Guardians of the Galaxy and they gave him that like Space Knight suit?
So
were you even reading during then? I know that was like
I
sort of
was.
on the outs, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing with that was I love Flash overall with the Venom suit, right? I think Agent Venom is one of the coolest things Marvel has done in recent decades.
1000%.
I'm seldom on board with launching characters into space that don't originate there in terms of their storytelling. Like, putting Black Panther into space was one of the dumbest things that Marvel's ever done. I don't see much of like leave that to the freaking cosmic type characters and your space characters. Leave that to the Guardians. Leave that to all those guys. I don't need to see Spider-Man in space and all of this. Yeah, that's not necessary. Like it's
Yeah.
I just don't need that. Like figure out how to tell the stories with the characters where they actually belong.
See, I agree with that, but my two pushbacks on that are actually Flash, like Venom, and I thought I had another one in my head, but I guess I don't. But the Venom one, I thought, the Venom and the Black Panther one. The reason those two particularly work for me is because, at least in terms of Black Panther, that's sort of just something new. Like, we haven't really seen a space empire story, right? That wasn't like out, like Chris Claremont out in the ridiculousness of it all. So, and it also gave Black Panther sort of something to do without forcing him into being the bestest thing in the entire, like, 616, even though he sort of is. Like, they could have gone the route of, what was it? The Inhumans, and they could have like built the Wakandan embassy or whatever, like above Earth, and it could have floated around, and that could have just been another weird, like, okay, Wakanda's the best. Why does the world need anything else but Wakanda? Like, what are we doing? But throwing them into space where they can sort of play on their own and you can let them do whatever, I think that's a good compromise. Plus, I do have a sweet spot for the Empire Wakanda stuff because of that intro to Aliens versus Avengers, where it's the entire setup is the Wakanda Empire, like investigating the androids doing the xenomorphs and stuff.
Right.
Like, I liked that. And for Flash, I liked the idea of him specifically because he was sort of a military guy. I thought that sort of worked. Like, this is another mission we're going to go out to. And then they really played up that whole, like, Flash is in mission mode, but then when he has a chance to breathe, he's like, I'm in space. Like, this is crazy. And I liked that. Like, I would put the opposite. I would put, remember when Iron Man went up and like during Marvel Now, when the Guardians were all, like, the movies had come out and they were all popular and they put Iron Man on the team, I was like, that's stupid. You guys are trying too hard. And their explanation was like, I've never seen space. I want to go see space. And it's like, you don't need to be on the Guardians for that, Tony. And also you have seen space a lot. I don't know what you're talking about. So I guess it all just depends on how they can be used, like what they do with them. I don't like this is probably just, I know I've talked to you about this. I don't like the Clintar stuff for symbiotes. So, and that's where they really started leaning on that. Like, oh, I'm a Clintar super soldier and I had destiny. And I was like, I don't know if I really like that. Like, I liked the just goopy monster type thing. Like I know I'm sort of, I realize I just dug myself into a hole because I wanted to say I really like the goopy just monster symbiotes. But then, as we'll talk about, like Venom in Venom War has like the best personality and the best interactions, and I wouldn't want to trade that for anything. So humans are nothing if not hypocrites.
This is accurate. This is fair. I actually love the Clintar stuff. You and I are on opposite ends there. But like, I get it. Like, it's one of those things where it was a big sweeping change to the lore for this thing, and that's a hit and miss thing. That's going to hit with some fans. It's not going to with others. Like, some fans do. It's the same deal as with freaking Lucas when he introduced the midichlorians.
Midichlorians, yeah.
Some people like that, and they were like, okay, so I can see how that like explains things in this regard over here. And other fans were like, no, it's supposed to just be this mysterious thing we know nothing about it, and that's the way it should always be. Okay, like, you're welcome to that opinion. That's fine. Like, everybody, it's always gonna be a split whenever you make changes to lore like that. And that goes for changes that work. Like, you're still gonna have those people that things should always be one specific way.
Yeah, no, and you're totally on point. And I think when like, you're right. Like, I never really put that midichlorian comparison. And just for, like, I'm not a big midichlorian fan. I thought that was sort of weird and sort of took away a lot of the legend of Star Wars, if you will. But that's a good apt compare. Like, I'm not one of those people who says death to midichlorians. I'm just like, I liked it better whenever it wasn't around. But I think the main Clintar thing that really annoyed me was when they revealed that the planet wasn't a planet. It was just a bunch of symbiotes surrounding Null trying to keep him trapped. That was an odd choice. That was an odd choice, and I'm not a big fan, at least in the last few years, of the, like, chosen one sort of narratives. I sort of have gotten a little tired of those. I feel like a lot of people rely on them, and they're lazy about how they execute them. And so I like when you have the Peter Parkers, right? The wrong place, wrong time, if you will, or right place, right time, and they get their powers, they have to prove themselves, and they go into it. Damn, what were we even talking about? I totally just blanked because I looked over at the chat and I farted all over it.
Expanding on the symbiote lore.
Oh, right. And so I liked the idea. I was like, okay, cool. Clintar, fine. That's the species name. That scientific sense, sure. I liked it as a planet rather than, oh, look, it's all Null. I'm sort of, how do I explain this? I don't like when we get a retcon that goes, look at this thing that was always super important and you didn't even know it existed, and right? Like with the arachniate in Venom War. I'm like what? That was
a weird plot device.
Yeah.
And they still haven't done much with it. Like, you read issue 3 of the Venom War Spider-Man, and so, like, it's talked about more, but we still don't know.
Yeah,
shit about it.
we'll probably we'll probably start with Venom more tonight because we'll go Marvel DC. But yeah, there's stuff to talk about with that, and I agree. They still kind of haven't told us what's going on.
Yeah,
with that.
we still know Jack Diddley.
Oh yeah, Subhuman. I mean, too many symbiotes, just like too many spiders. Oh yeah, ask Andrew. He is not a fan of like all 900 spider people.
Purge all of them.
Yep. Need a
Just leave me
symbiote.
with Peter.
A symbiote and spider people purge event. Clone Geek asks, are you guys reading Titan Comics Conan titles? I am not. I'm waiting for trades just to get them all sort of like read it straight. What about you, Andrew? Are you a big Conan guy?
No, not really. I haven't even read Chuck Dixon's Conan, and I love Chuck Dixon.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm not a big Conan guy, but I've been trying to get into him these last couple years because everybody in our sphere always talks about how great those stories are. So I'm like, all right, that's a recommendation. I'll take it. And I'll admit, I liked that small weird period where he was in the main 616. Do you remember that? Like, I don't know what that was all about, but like they put him on the Savage Avengers for a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was weird, but I kind of dug it. Yeah, very, very short. It was super weird, but it was very. I liked it because they never did the thing where Conan learns to be a better person, right? He starts out as I'm fucking Conan. I'm gonna barbarian all over the place. I don't care about your modern superhero rules. And by the end, he's still okay. The only reason I didn't kill him is because you stepped in the way. Like, so I really like that Marvel resisted going full Marvel.
Yeah, well, it'd be nice if, like a lot of these, I'm trying to fix my freaking audio devices and it's still going down.
You sound good now.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll see if it stays that way.
I sent you a message in the back, but
I saw that.
Okay, maybe if that was happening, but if that's not it, then I'm out of loss.
No, it doesn't look like it. Yeah, because now it's just going back down again. I don't know what to do at this point. I'm just gonna have
Bear
to
with
continually.
us. Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to continually click on max volume over here.
Someday I'll move
hold
out.
it the entire
Someday
time.
I'll move out to Texas and we'll get a studio and we can just. I can like walk over there and be like, let me see what the hell you did, and I can just fix it.
I didn't touch anything. I swear.
Damn you, Windows.
I don't
what
even
were we talking
remember what
about?
I was saying.
We were talking about Conan, Marvel not treating the character wrong, and then I was like, I'm glad they didn't go full Marvel, and then you were like,
oh yeah. Like that's just big two in general. Like when they go full,
yeah.
I don't know, when DC goes full DC or Marvel goes full Marvel, and all of a sudden they do something to just like upends the entirety of the universe, and they actually kind of backed themselves into that corner because they changed their model to this, cyclical event kind of scheme.
I know.
Where it's like everything is always building up to whatever the next event is. Nothing can just be a thing on its own. It feels like as soon as one event ends, the next thing already starts building to the next event. It's one thing to have things snowball onto each other, but it negatively impacts your line overall if what you're doing is constantly just setting up the next event. People don't have a chance to breathe and just enjoy the stories for what they are, if they're indeed good stories. It's like, why does this have to be part of this bigger thing?
That's how we get the problem we were talking about. Where remember the totality satellite? No, you don't.
Yeah,
because
nobody
we
remembers
just had to keep moving on.
Yeah, and then they end up all of a sudden like not being able to finish out and build upon legitimately interesting or cool ideas that fans were actually interested in. And instead they're just like, well, this is the next initiative we're doing, and so we're gonna push for that. And it's, well, what the hell? Like, you literally just finished this over here. Because Marvel went from I went down to 13 is what what Microsoft put me down to.
Luckily it didn't sound like that. The sound never
good.
So that was good, but yeah.
Oh, did the sound stay the same?
Yeah, you sounded perfect. You stayed normal for me that entire time.
Oh wow, how about that? But what was it? They had that whole Asgard war. What the hell? War of the Realms, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
Then they shifted immediately into freaking absolute carnage right after that. It was like you didn't give people 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes. Like, come on,
they need you to pre-order the next book. They need those sales.
And that's sort of the thing.
Yeah.
They've pushed themselves into that corner where now they're reliant. It's the same. It's this can be applied to a lot of entertainment. Like you get YouTubers who lock themselves into one specific type of content creation, and therefore that's what their audience expects. And if they veer away from that, then they lose their views. Sometimes they lose subscribers.
Yeah.
And hey, man.
Shout out to Leon, who always veers away and always loses subscribers.
Oh, he's Leon, you know.
I know. Everybody is learning the right lesson in unsubscribing. I'm just kidding. Everybody go subscribe to Words of Paradise. Bolt the word, whatever he goes by these days.
But now, in order to keep people invested or involved or interested, they always have to like tease this big event 1 month after they just wrapped up a big event. It's like, guys, you don't need to do that. But unfortunately, that's the lesson that they've taken from this.
I think it's even faster than that, because like the way I remember, like for example, I went like in All In, obviously we'll talk about that, but there's that whole Elseworld plot point that we haven't seen since the end of Dark Crisis. And so I was like, oh, that's crazy. Let me go look back. And I forget that typically at the end of at least DC events, they're like, everything's resolved. All the heroes are here. But wait, what is this like big thing that's happening? And it's like, okay, so that's the next plot point we're rushing towards. Like, I need to breathe, and that sort of goes into the if everything's canon, nothing matters. Because the more they keep doing that, the more it's like, all right, you made this change. Wally's back, yay! Why do I care when you're probably going to destroy all of this in a month? Like it's bad. Event fatigue's been a thing for like years, and for some reason the industry just has not learned that people are tired of them, or not tired of them. They have not
learned that lesson at all. Like, if there is one lesson that they have not figured out, it's that y'all gotta slow down with these events, because it's a new event every handful of months. Rather, if you want to do something maybe annually, like that used to be a thing.
Yeah, that used to be the thing.
You'd have the annual event, and that would be something that you'd be pushing for, and be this big buildup. You allow it enough time to kind of build towards that, and so it feels like this momentous thing, right? Sometimes it pans out and it's a really good event. Other times it's 0 hour. But you know, that's acceptable.
Hey, at least we got the 0 hour. We got the 0 hour special, which gave us that Supergirl in a black suit, and so I give it a little bit of credit.
It's literally sitting right over there. I still haven't read it.
It's not great. Like, it's okay. It's not badly written. It's just kind of boring. But the two things to highlight are, like, there's something at the end that I want to talk to you about, but I'm not going to say it because I kind of want your raw reaction to it. And so that's another thing. If you've read it, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's weird, but yeah. Then the Supergirl in the black suit. It's the coolest. I don't know. I really like her. I guess it's just the Kryptonian revival suit, the one that Cal wore when he was reviving, but it still looks good on her.
I mean, I like Supergirl in the black suit.
Oh yeah, that's true. The Turner suit. There you go.
I actually have that statue in storage. It's the Kotobukiya one.
Oh, I love that one. I'm surprised they haven't done, or maybe they have, and you would know. Have they ever done the full like Michael Turner? Oh wait, yeah, that was Michael Turner. The Michael Turner Darkseid regalia Supergirl. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like when they first see her, and she's got like the crown. She's got like the crown and the like storm type cape that hangs from her arms. He knows where it is, folks.
Yes, I do. This one.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was wondering about. Because I just imagine that if they
have a statue of it. I have seen on one of the older, I forget what the manufacturer was, but there is a really bad looking action figure of it. And when I say bad, I was like, I can't actually buy this. And I buy basically everything.
Yeah, you do.
Story.
That's okay. Now I gotta find this, because I was imagining like what would it look like? It would have a lot of spikes and it would fall apart. But oh god, ew, this one is really, really bad.
It's ugly, right?
This doesn't even look like it's supposed to be her. The
same manufacturer did her in her Supergirl outfit designed by Turner, and it was like, wow, you just made her look ugly as hell in this figure.
Here, let's see.
Zero effort.
What window do I have open? Okay, it's that one. There we go. This one. That the one you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that looks so... It doesn't even look like that design. Like...
It's bad. It's so bad.
So for those who aren't familiar with this outfit, like, okay, that's a really low-res shot of it. But... Why is it all...
support low-res images here.
We do not. We do not stand for it. Every image that is, like, used in our graphics, I went and I got the highest quality one. It doesn't matter, but I refuse to stand for it. But yeah, this one, like, this is what she's supposed to look like. And then you get that awful toy.
Mm-hmm.
They, like, took all the details off of it.
Yeah, they just, like I said, zero effort involved. That is, you know, low quality production. They probably spent the least amount of money possible on that. They just did not care.
I will give them this. The best part about this figure is that the torso is very Michael Turner. They at least captured that.
Oh, yeah, where she looks like a rail.
Yeah, where she's...
Yep, that is classic 90s and early 2000s Turner.
I like hearing this. Freaking Punk says, I bought and read the first issues of Phoenix and Venomous. Both books are great. I like hearing that because that's off of our Rex. I know Punk's been watching, so I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad that our first round of recommendations did not disappoint. Yeah, be careful for Phoenix issue number 2. It's kind of boring, but number 3 is where it picks back up. And then, yeah, Andrew and I are loving Venomous so far. Oh, that kind of reminds me. Remember, we were talking last week, like, who's this, or when we talked about Venomous, I think that maybe might have been week 1, whatever. We were talking about the writer, and, like, who is this writer? It's a woman by the name of Erica Schultz. We were like, wow, she's really good, da-da-da. Mm-hmm. You and I went back and we looked, like, this weekend. We were like, what else has she written? And we found out that she's, like, gotten... this isn't on her. Like, these are the assignments she got, and it's because, obviously, she's probably at the lower rung at this point. But she did things like the NYX sequel series, or the X-23 sequel series that nobody really asked for.
Yeah, literally nobody asked.
Nobody asked for it, but we got it anyway. She did Daredevil Gang War, which is like who's reading anything attached to the Zeb Wells run? Nobody likes that run. It's a bad run. So, like, I'm not surprised nobody read that. And then the Hallows Eve miniseries, which is, for those who don't know that character, it is Ben Reilly's girlfriend who, ever since he turned into Chasm, she's now like a supervillain along with him. And her power is that she got a bag of masks from Madeline Pryor. And they're like Halloween, like the really cheap Halloween masks that you just like strap over and you snap. But when she puts them on, she transforms. So she puts on like a werewolf mask, she becomes a werewolf. If she puts on a Frankenstein mask, she becomes big. Kind of, it's like Majora's Mask, essentially. Yeah. So her power set's
that's actually a good comparison.
Yeah, her power set's not bad, but again, it's just one of those things like who wanted her? Who cared about this character?
Same amount of people that wanted Chasm.
Yeah, pretty much, honest to God. So Nick Lowe and Zeb Wells, all two of you. I did the thing. I was like, I was so impressed by Venomous that I'm going to go check this out. I haven't finished it. I've only started the Hallows Eve series. I'm like 2 or 3 issues in. It's surprisingly well written, right? Like, I don't like the character. I don't really like the premise. I don't really care about this. But I'm like, this writing's not bad. Like, I'm at least intrigued at what's going on. So
when you give her, like, practically nothing to work with, she's able to at least like churn out something like halfway decent, but then you give her an actual good idea to work with, then we get Venomous.
So like Erica Schultz, big shout out to you. Current foil variant recommended writer. I want to make graphics for all this stuff eventually, but yeah, I just wanted to report that. Obviously I'll tell you more as the weekend goes on, Andrew, when I read the other series, but yeah, like that you took the words right out of my mouth. She can take even the worst concept and make it enjoyable, or not enjoyable, like you said, a good story, something to hang out.
Passable at
yes,
the very least.
That's the best way to put it. Yes, Subhuman. Rip Michael Turner, always sad. Go check out what is it? Echoes? Is that how you pronounce it? The one that's being Ecos. The one that's being kickstarted. His crossover. What do you want to call it? Crossover series, I guess. For all of his Aspen stuff. Looks really cool. We shared the Kickstarter a couple weeks ago. Maybe we'll share it again if we remember by the end of the show for our indie corner. But yeah, Michael Turner fans, definitely check that out. We had a question from Clone Geek. What do you guys think of Dylan Brock? Also, Marvel needs to stop trying to make Paul a thing. Absolute. I don't think either of us will disagree with that last statement. But I'll put it to you. I'll put it to you first, Andrew. What do you think of Dylan so far?
So when Dylan
here, we can use this as a setup to jump over here. Whee!
Perfect. We'll use it as a segue. When he was first introduced, I was kind of like, do we need Eddie Brock's kid here right now? Can we, like, I don't know, just focus on improving other aspects of the character? But he's kind of grown on me. I wouldn't say that I'm a fan. It's more a matter of, like, I'm interested in the stories that are being told around him more so than I am him specifically. Like, there's some interesting stories that they're doing, and interesting things that they're doing with him. But him as a character, he's just kind of fine. He's just kind of there for me. But there's, like I said, there's cool stuff happening around him and cool stuff that they're doing with the stories because of him. But as far as his personality, his characterization, he hasn't done anything. He's been around for a few years now.
Yeah, he's like 3 or 4 at this point. It's been a while.
Yeah, Cates was still writing when he.
That's
was,
right. He is Cates.
Yeah. So yeah, he was a Cates creation, and you know, and I've said before I love Cates' run, for the most part. But he's just kind of a character that's there. For me right now, like there's cool stuff that they're doing with him, but he as a character is just kind of like his personality is just kind of. There's nothing really special or unique about him that makes me like latch onto him, you know?
Yeah, no, I think I'm right there with you.
He's a character.
That's exactly it. He's a character. He's a good vehicle to tell stories, but those stories still revolve mainly around Eddie, and so it's like I like what Eddie. I do like the growth of Eddie as a father, like especially because you said he got introduced during Cates. I believe that's when Eddie was like, okay, I need to be a father, and like he finally accepted Dylan. So like,
I think he was introduced during like the whole Red Goblin stuff. I might be misremembering that.
That's another thing that was really dumb at first, and it's sort of grown on me. The Red Goblin stuff, like
Normie and all of that.
I still think it's kind of stupid, but the way they've used the Normie has slightly grown on me. So I can't be completely mad at it. But yeah, aside from that, I think the coolest thing I can say about him as I adjust things live again because they got out of order, Venom or Spider-Man. Well, actually, first, say hello to Space Dave 2000 saying Superboy Prime destroyed by inept events. I agree. I actually really like Superboy Prime for what he is. I like the whole meta-ness of it. I like the crybaby nature of it, even though that's Superman. And yeah, I kind of have hated what they've done with him since Blackest Night. Like, they gave him that redemption during, what was it, Death Metal? I think it was.
Yeah, they gave him a redemption in Death Metal. It was one of the few cool moments in Death Metal. But the event overall was trash. But it was one of, like, the only kind of... I can't even use the term redeeming moments because that suggests that it redeemed anything, because it didn't. It just was like, oh, that's a cool moment. And then we go back to the event being trash.
Yeah, no, it was really bad, but I mean, par for the course for DC in recent years, right? Like, we'll get to DC, but maybe they're slowly starting to recover. I don't even know if I would go that far, but it's at least more interesting to read now than it has been in 500 years.
Yeah, I mean, you have to start to turn the ship before you can actually start sailing in the right direction.
Bingo. Zero and Subhuman say that the stream dropped. Don't know why that happened. I think it's something on YouTube's end. I have perfect connection over here on the OBS, no dropped frames. So YouTube just doesn't
buffer for like 1 second.
Oh, did you?
A minute ago.
Okay, then that's probably what it was. No idea what it was because I have nothing dropped over here. But yeah, stick around, Space Dave. There is some maybe I guess it's not Superboy Prime, but some Superboy talk a little later on. Mary is here. Andrew is down with the thickness. Yes, have you been watching his shonen transformations? He's getting there.
Working on it.
There we go. Subhuman says, I've been reading Fathom lately. I started. Wait, that's the ocean one, right?
Yes.
Right, with the surfer. Yeah, I started that one. I haven't gotten very far on it.
It's this.
There it is. I love that cover, by the way. That surfer
That's a
cover
thick
of
book.
her.
I actually have. This is cool. I'm gonna show this off. I have. This is unopened. It's still sealed. The hardcover version of it, and it is number 1000 of 1000.
Oh, what? How did you end up with that one?
I ordered it off of Aspen's website a couple of years back, and it was like the last one that they had.
That's so crazy.
And it came with a print as well that is also 1000 of 1000, and the certificate of authenticity on the
Mary,
back.
we got to get him a frame for that. What is happening? 1000 of 1000 and it's just sitting there. I'm offended.
Super small print, but yeah, I mean it'd be kind of nifty to have that small thing framed or something like that. But yeah, this thing is like actually one of the gems of my collection, and it is never getting opened because I don't need to, because I literally have the
soft cover right there. Yeah, freaking Punk says I read the original Fathom series, foil variant lore, I guess. Like Michael Turner and is like Andrew loves him. Like that's one of his main guys.
Yeah, I actually, speaking of foil variants, I have a slabbed foil cover of from Fathom.
I've never got.
Give me one second.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So while you go grab that, I don't know about you guys, but I've never gotten a slabbed book. I've never gotten anything slabbed. I've never bought one. I don't know why. I think I like the way they look in them, but I think I really hate what they do to the culture and the economy of comic books, right? Where it's like everybody buys them up, goes and slabs them. Now I can't even find a copy to read. So I'm always torn on them, but I really like how they look. And I also know that if I just start, oh, dude, what? Is that embossed?
Mm-mm.
Like, or is that it's just foil, dude?
Yeah, no, it's just kind of.
That's a good foil, though. Yeah, it's prismatic. There you go. Yeah, that's a good one.
The back.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so complete virgin cover.
What? That's Fathom all in on the back. Because it's just her on the silver background.
Yeah, with no background. Yeah, that's funny.
Where did I put it? Yeah, swing. My accidental copy of Batman that I bought by accident.
Right.
And then yeah, there's yours, just in case you wanted to make sure.
Yeah, that's my boy. Love Jimenez.
Yeah, right. He's like. Him and Mora, just hand the company over to them.
Right. Just let them draw everything.
Zero asks, Fathom, this was Turn of the Millennium, no?
Yeah, Fathom was introduced in 98.
90, dang.
Is when Turner first... It was actually first published under Top Cow before...
I knew that, yeah.
Turner broke off and created his own publishing line. Aspen Comics.
I don't think Fathom was brought back. I think we're just talking about it. I said when I said I'm getting started on Fathom, I have like a stack of things from Andrew that I'm trying to read that I know that is like his favorite stuff, and just because he's my friend, I want to experience it. So I have all of Fathom, Aspen, and Witchblade right now that I'm trying to work through, and I have them all on my iPad, and I just sometimes like I start one and I read like an issue, and then I jump back to like another one, and I read like 4 issues of that, then I go to another and I read like 4 issues of that. Right now I'm on like a Witchblade kick because it finally started picking up. Andrew, I finally got to the part where Mike, what's his name, Ironside or whatever, the silver haired dude, the guy
Kenneth Irons.
Yeah, Kenneth Irons, when he tries to take it from her, and they have like that fight, and she like finally embraces the Witchblade, and then the other dude with the samurai swords like betrays Michael, or yeah, like Irons. You remember what I'm talking about, right? It's still very early on.
I do recall this. In fact,
he's finding it right now, just like he did last time when he found her partner being revived.
Yep. I've only read this series a few times.
Just a couple.
You know, it is a near and dear franchise to me, and it should be. It's actually a pretty iconic image, because what is it? He gets freaking knocked off of when freaking you got Ian Nottingham that tries to stab him
Nottingham,
in the face.
yeah.
and all of that. Yeah, so there's Irons trying to wield the Witchblade.
Yes, that's exactly. I just got past that part, and she goes like, "You're kind of dumb. How did you not realize with your gallery that it needs to be a woman?" And he's like, "No, it doesn't." And I'm just like, "You're so dumb. That's so great."
Yeah, and then we get that double.
Yes,
page
yeah,
spread.
exactly. I got to that page, and I was like, "Okay, finally, here we go."
Yeah, no, that wraps up like the first arc of Witchblade.
Yeah, I'm excited to like keep reading it, obviously, but that's what I meant when I said I was reading Fathom Punk. It hasn't been brought back like Witchblade has, but maybe it will. But speaking of that, we have a request for you, Andrew. Can't wait for the new versus old Witchblade comparison video.
I'm sure that'll be coming.
Yeah, we'll make some stuff.
I see no reason why not.
We got plans. We got content plans. We'll do stuff. We're also very busy, but don't worry. We want to do this stuff. This is really fun for us. So yeah, I would love to actually talk to Andrew about like new, old, what it's doing, all that fun stuff. We have Gorilla Mar. What's going on, Gorilla Mar? Nice to see you, my buddy. And all right, I think with that we can talk a little Venom more. We can get into the books of this week.
Let's do it.
All right, so first up on our list, Venomore number 3. If you guys haven't been watching Foil Variant or talking to me and Andrew on social media, you won't know, but you should know that this is currently one of our favorite books. Like to the point where it's being drawn by Greg Land, and we can kind of get past it. Like
Yeah.
we acknowledge like this sucks, but we're not like, oh, it's Greg Land. Why is he here? The writing is that good in this book.
Yeah, the writing is so good, and I'm normally an art over, story
Like
person.
narrative,
like,
yeah.
Like it's hard for me to read a story, no matter how good it is, if the art is just bad.
If the art's
to me.
bad, oh yeah.
So like,
Especially
I
in
can't...
comic books, like you're a
Yeah.
visual medium. I need you to be visual.
Exactly, but this book is just that good, and I at least like the characters, right? And I really like the story that's being told right now. And though there are some panels that it's like, wow, that is full Greg Land.
Well, I still laugh almost every day when I think about last week when we were like, wait a minute, that's the same pose or the same male pose he used for the cover
Yeah.
of number 1. Like that still
Yep.
makes me laugh, like 1-to-1.
Exactly, like it's just peak laziness, honestly. But the stuff that's happening in the book is just cool.
I also like this. They're doing I really like when events have like tie-in issues and stuff like this, and they all take place in the same time, but they all use the same like dialogue and it fits. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I love when that happens, and sometimes comics don't do it very well. Sometimes they do. This is like, for example, we were talking the other week. There's that issue of Venom where Dylan goes back in time and he encounters like the Molten Man and Spider-Man on his like graduation day, and
Yeah.
that unfortunately is a whole new scene. Like it's not in the original issue, and I was like, that's a bit of a bummer. But like this all right here, this is all I love, like because this is like the last page, right? Like you have
that
to
was
let me
happening
go.
yeah, but that was happening at the end of the main Venom War issue number 3.
Yes. And so I just really like that this all sort of fits in here. Like that's just I don't know, it's just a cool thing I like. But then okay, so this is where we get weird, and this is where I brought this up to you, but I figured we should probably talk about it. So Peter is fighting, and all of a sudden the Arachneid is talking to him through the symbiote. I guess.
I'm not entirely certain how that's supposed to work.
Yeah, I'm not either. It's just like, yeah, you guys can see right here on the page. It starts, Venom is in the like bubbly boxes with regular text, and then the text gets all weird, and that becomes the Arachneid. But yeah, I don't know why he's here, how he's connected. But then that sort of also raises the next problem, which is like, so what happens after this is Peter, I guess, gets a vision
He gets
of
a
himself.
vision, yeah, a vision of a possible future.
Yeah,
is
of
what
himself
this seems like.
as the King in Black. And I'm not against this idea. I don't. How did we get here? I don't know. How's he getting this vision? Because then there's, and we'll come back to it, folks. Don't worry. We'll talk about all that. But there's this right here where the symbiote's like, when Venom's like, Peter, can you hear my voice? Come back to me. You are lost in time. So I'm like, did you time travel him? Is that an actual future? What's going on here? So that sort of like, it's sort of the opposite of what you were saying, where you're like, if the art is really bad, you have trouble going along with the story. If there's something that obviously weird or like unexplained or just sort of doesn't make sense.
Disjointed,
yeah, that disjointed, that's perfect. Once something gets that disjointed, I get too focused on it, because then I'm like, okay, well, is it going to be explained in a different page? Let me flip forward. And so
some things narratively I can forgive, right? But if something's just that glaring, that it's supposed to actually bear so much weight, but it doesn't make any sense because it feels like it's out of nowhere, it's really hard to kind of get past that. And I remember I actually read this section twice because I was trying to figure out, like, what are we doing here? Like, there's some cool, like, that's actually kind of a cool shot right there.
Yeah.
Like, King in Black Pete looks pretty badass.
I actually kind of like it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool design. But I was just like, what are we doing here right now? I don't understand what happened. And so the best that I could come up with was that the Arachniote was showing him some possible future. How that works, I have no idea, because we don't know anything yet about the Arachniote. It's just been this kind of effervescent plot device that hasn't been explained at all, other than even Null fears it, right? So literally the god of the symbiotes that has slain Celestials fears this thing, and we're just supposed to kind of go with it. And
not even just Celestials. If you'll remember during the like Kate's and Null stuff, he killed the god of superheroes. That's how the All-Sword is born, because he stabs that golden god who's Superman, and it bleeds on the sword, and that's the Necro. Like, and so you're telling me this big monster that is technically one of his like subservient species causes him that much fear?
Yeah.
Why would he even let you live then? Right? Like, I feel like Null's the kind of person who goes, threat, gone.
Gone.
Like I'm not even going to think about it.
And we've seen him do that, right?
We
so
have.
It's like, it's just like, it doesn't connect properly yet for me. We still have another couple issues left in this event, and all the tie-ins. So I'm really hoping that we get in the next couple of issues here, towards the end of this event, a satisfactory explanation to the Arachnio, because right now it's just kind of there, and I'm just having to kind of accept it. I am bummed that I knew it was bound to happen, but I am bummed that it happened already, that the Venom symbiote left Peter.
I know,
I was like, I knew it was coming. We weren't getting out of this event with it staying with Peter. It wasn't going to be a thing. But I was just having so much fun with him being bonded to the Venom again, because the dialogue between them was just so good. You know?
Their dynamic was so good.
It was being written so darn well.
I mean, even up into that last minute, and you know what? Let's close this out real quick, and then we'll jump over to that, because I think it's super relevant. Final thoughts, or I guess, what else do you have to say about this? It doesn't really. Oh God, I forgot that entire second part of this. So, the one thing I want to comment on here is, I'm always sort of a fan of these sort of moments in comics where you see like a future alternate team, and you're just like, ooh, how could that have happened, right? Like, just they're neat. Like Peter Quill up there using a Mjolnir-sized version of Stormbreaker. Or no, I guess that's Beta Ray Bill's hammer, huh? I don't know. But
that looks more like his.
I mean, we get it from the side at one shot, like right here. So I think that might be.
That's what makes more sense to me, because we do at one point see, the Arachniote, like symbiote type character
right
that's
here.
Supposed to be Peter's daughter, like she's wielding it. It's like, all right, so if
that's okay.
Beta Ray
that
Bills,
sense.
it makes more sense rather than it being Mjolnir.
Because you need to be worthy,
You need to be worthy of that, and we can't just be throwing that around. Right?
They were doing that for a little while. They were doing everybody just gets. I remember being so mad when they were doing the Red Hulk arc, like when they were introducing him, and he was all, "Who could it be? What's the mystery?" And one of the issues ends with him just picking up like Mjolnir and like twirling it, and he can like use it. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And then they revealed later who it was, and I'm like, this makes no sense. I hate you guys. Like, you did this for shock value.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, they've fucked up Thor lore quite a bit. You know, there was that whole thing where the Phoenix is his true mother or some crap like that. Did they retcon that yet?
No, that's they've done the comic book thing where they've moved away from it really hard to the point where
they're just not acknowledging it, but they
Well, like-
haven't overwritten it.
So, like, in the Immortal Thor book, which is really good, I highly recommend everybody go read it.
Isn't
even
it
if you're
also
not
Al Ewing?
yeah, it's also Al Ewing, and that's the one I keep warning you that at certain points he does go closer to full Ewing, but he does manage to come back. But in that book, it's the whole plot is like the god heads are all fighting, whatever, blah blah blah, and Thor he's interacting with Gaia, who is his technical mother, who was his mother before or something.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Like, and so there's dialogue where it's like, yeah, the Phoenix said she was your mother and she might be your birth mother, but let's talk about Freya and me. And it's like, oh, okay. Ewing doesn't want to acknowledge the Phoenix stuff at all. He doesn't even probably want to do the mother Gaia stuff, but he's just doing it because it's still there.
Right.
So
and maybe
yeah,
that might also be an editorial thing too, where they're kind of like, hey, we need to have.
Hey, nobody liked this. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see.
We'll definitely see. But I'm also, I'm not gonna lie, this Captain Marvel kind of intrigues me. It's like Vision, but it's also got like spike arms. Not a lot to say on it.
I was trying to figure out who that was when I was reading. Like there's a couple of characters on this team here where I was just like not sure who they were.
Yeah.
So.
I bet you're talking about the Hulk guy, huh?
Yeah. Oh no, that's Hulkling.
Yeah, it's Hulkling.
Yeah,
that's Hulkling.
No, I knew that was Hulkling.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know who the Captain Marvel is. I like the design. It's kind of cool. It reminds me of Ultimate Vision. Remember her?
Yeah.
But yeah, so the symbiote or King in Black tears through all of them. We find out that this was really stupid. I felt like I saw this twist coming a mile away, where he's like, the arachniate took my daughter, and I'm like, okay, so she probably just bonded with it. Like,
yeah, right? Like,
like,
how hard was that to guess?
And then and so then when he was surprised, I was like, come on, Peter. Like, come on, what are we doing?
Yeah, you're supposed to be smart, Peter. Come on.
I also laughed at this because this is so Greg Land, where that's supposed to be Mayday, but Greg Land can only draw like two faces, so that just looks like MJ.
Yeah.
And I was like, that doesn't look right. That looks weird. But as who brought that up? I forgot who brought up Paul. It was, I don't know. One of us brought up Paul. Oh yeah, Clone Geek brought up Paul.
It was Clone Geek.
It was Clone Geek. So we do get whiny Paul here. I guess is they keep trying to make Paul like the man in the chair for MJ, and Which here he just
shouldn't be a thing at all.
It shouldn't be a thing at all. She shouldn't be a hero at all. There was a small time right when she got her jackpot bracelet that she was just using it like in emergencies because she's like, I hang out with superheroes, I need it. And I was like, that's cool. I don't think you should be a full-blown superhero, but whatever, Marvel, go try and sell your variant covers.
And then they went full Marvel with it.
But that's Clone Geek. They're still not getting rid of Paul. He's still here. This right here kind of pissed me off because, so like, yeah, Paul's serving as Peter's man in the chair, and Paul calls Peter right now after he gives up the symbiote, and he's like, why did you go fighting with MJ? I can't reach her now. She's gone. This is all your fault. And I'm like, shut up, Paul. Like, yeah, I don't know. Shut up.
Nobody likes you, Paul. Just die already. Literally nobody likes you.
No.
Why are you even here? You don't even go here.
You don't even go here. Like, I want him gone. I just want this guy gone. There's nothing he contributes. He contributes nothing.
You could not convince me that anybody actually likes Paul and wants him to stick around.
At this point, I feel like the people who like Paul only do it because they're trying to piss off the people, like they're trying to be contrarians.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, you like all that stuff because you're a Spider fan? I actually like Paul. I'm a little different like that. It's like, no, you're not. No, nobody likes Paul. Shut up.
Nobody likes Paul.
Shut up.
Stop lying. You're lying to us and you're lying to yourself. Don't do that.
And then, so then this issue ends with, I didn't realize MJ got absorbed last issue. I thought she won. I thought she won when she blew apart the thing with her remember when it goes like ding 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 and it goes Venom?
Yeah.
I thought she won from that.
There was I don't have the book in front of me.
I'm trying to find it, but yeah.
There's, if I remember correctly, there was a scene that did kind of hint like, oh no, it's definitely not gone, which we all knew was going to be the case, but it did hint that MJ was actually in kind of some immediate danger.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
I'm sure you do. I gotta just find where I put the book because I've got everything organized. Spider-Man Venom War #2. Oh hey, look what page I left off on. Perfect.
How about that?
So then, yeah. So I remember this. She blasts him. Thought you'd never ask. Pulls out Hobgoblin. Oh
And
yeah.
right
Okay,
there.
you're right. Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there she is getting absorbed. Yeah.
That would make sense then. Okay. I figured there was probably something I missed, but that's why I wanted to run it by you because I was like, I didn't remember that. I also thought that this was just going to be 3 issues, so I'm really happy that it's still going. The writers for this book, didn't you just go out and buy like something else they wrote, Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, because they're so good? I feel like you just did that, or you were picking up a trade of something.
Yes, I was. And it's right.
Oh, I remembered. It was a trade.
Yeah. It was Batman Beyond Neo Year.
That's right.
Yeah,
Have you started it yet?
I have not, but I bought both the volumes.
Oh, nice.
This one, I'm bummed that this one was not in hardcover, but volume 2 was. So that's bugging the crap out of my OCD. But I'm gonna.
Well, you know what? Don't worry.
I'll shut up and enjoy it anyway. Because
my
the art
local
is so beautiful.
My local shop is having a mad sale on Saturday. I will look for anything you need.
Let me know, because I am a big Batman Beyond fan.
I am too. I was just like the stuff they did. So remember, they introduced him during Future State, or like they brought him into canon during Future State, and I was so excited. I was like, Terry, finally! Like, this is a good addition to bring in from the animated universe.
But
like,
wasn't
I like
it not Terry in Future State? Wasn't it? It was one of the Robins.
It was
right?
Tim. It was Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it pissed me off.
So had it always been Tim, I would have been 100% on board with it. But Terry McGinnis is Batman Beyond.
Right.
So like when I say always been Tim, I mean like back when we first got the animated
cartoon.
Series,
Yes.
If it was Tim Drake, right, and Bruce was, passing that mantle onto him,
the torch, yeah.
Okay, right? That I would have been okay with that. Like if there's anybody, I would be okay with it being passed to.
If we got that, we wouldn't have gotten Return of the Joker.
No, we would not. No, we would not.
Which
is like that movie is phenomenal. But I love Terry, and I remember hearing about that. I didn't read it because I touched nothing from Future State very deliberately.
I have this sort of Stockholm syndrome with DC and those sort of events because remember, I love 52. 52 to me is one of my favorite series. I hold it up as like, this is writing, this is how you do it. And like, especially like it was one of the first things I was reading in my like formative comic book years when I was buying them for myself instead of like getting allowance or whatever.
Right.
And so because of that, I'm like, weekly event, DC knows what to do. So they introduce a new weekly event and I'm like, oh boy, they've got it. And then I get things like Future State. Then I get things like Countdown to Final Crisis. Then I get things like the second volume of Batman Eternal. And I'm just like, when will you learn, Spencer? When will you learn?
Yeah.
There's no Jeff Johns or Grant Morrison there anymore.
Stockholm Syndrome is real, man. Don't fall for it.
I mean, I'm about to go buy a bunch of freaking DC variants, for a bad event that we'll talk about when we get to DC. But I have little willpower when it comes to that. All right, let's see. So that's Venom War Spider-Man. Again, great series, highly recommend. Yes, it has Greg Land art, but you can definitely get past it because the story is so good. Now let's talk about the big shebang of the Marvel week, I guess I would probably say. Well, X-Men has something I want to talk about, which is kind of interesting. But, so, we got Venom War. We got our 3rd issue of Venom War. This series continues to just be the best. Obviously, it's got our boy Eban on the art. Eban! It's every time he's there, it's great. Dude, his Carnage, I love this take on Carnage. This like crystalline, bleeding thing. I don't know what Ebon's doing, but it's so good.
It's beautiful, man. It is absolutely beautiful.
And I mean,
and
so
it's smart too, because otherwise, like, if you're constantly drawing Carnage with all the goop everywhere, which is traditionally how he was a lot in the 90s, you know, and beyond that, like, that gets very taxing and monotonous, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And you could be spending your time, I don't know, knocking out 16 other panels in the meantime, as opposed to just that one. And so that's a smart artistic choice. There.
I didn't even think about that, but you're right.
It also aligns with the fact that Carnage has now evolved a bit, right?
Yes.
So he's way more powerful now. So now I didn't even think about it this way until just now, because you were telling me the other night, because I've got some Venom and Carnage stuff to catch up on.
Yeah.
He had been going kind of multiversal hopping and killing all of the alternate Carnages and kind of becoming more powerful.
You ever see that movie, The One, with Jet Li?
Yeah. Oh, with Jet Li.
It's just like, well, hell yeah. I love that movie.
I love that movie.
But yeah, that's kind of the same thing. He's been going around killing Carnages and taking their symbiotes and like, oh, now I'm stronger. And then he collects a certain amount, and he went, oh, I'm not weak to sound anymore. And then he collected some more, and he's like, oh, I'm not weak to fire
anymore.
And so, now he's he has no weakness, or he has no symbiote weakness now, rather.
Right. And so now, the way that I can kind of look at it now is that after all of that kind of evolving, it's also made him more put together, right? He looks more complete. So I think that makes all the sense in the world to me. And it just looks cool as hell.
I love the eye thing he's got, like the way his eye like holes crackle out when they get high. I don't know, that just seems really monstrous and creepy, and I love it. So yeah, then we get more anti-venom, which is awesome. I'm not gonna lie. So this issue, this is the second page of the issue, shows freaking Willie Lumpkin, the Fantastic Four mailman, getting zombie-ated. I was legitimately like, no, you didn't just kill Willie. Like, there's no way you did. Like, come on, Al, you did not. Like,
He did.
I was very upset. But then our boy shows up, Anti-Venom, unleashes his what do you call that? His impact webbing with the anti-venom in it, saves Willie, flies on off, and then we get to the sort of main meat of the issue, where we've got the Prince in Black, which is Dylan, going up against Eddie, and there's just a lot, there's a lot to unpack here. I like Bedlam going like, oh, I'm going to kill you anyway. And Eddie going, excuse me. Like, no, I'm still in charge. We're not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like that he hasn't lost it all, or lost all of his control.
Well, because in the prior issue, it kind of felt like, oh, he just completely lost it here.
That's what I thought, because he does the okay, fine, we're going to do this. And he suits up with Bedlam. And I'm like, oh, he's just gone off of his rocker now. I have no idea where he's at, but this isn't good for any of our heroes. So... yeah, I'm glad he's still in control. I remember that. So the whole plot sort of revolves around this. There's this android right here. His name is, it's Flexo, but he calls himself Metal, or no, he calls Dr. Doom Metalface. But he is a symbiote, and the whole backstory, it's really interesting. It comes from Al Ewing's run. He was a symbiote that the Allies got their hands on back in the 1930s, and they didn't know quite what it was. Like, they didn't know how to bond with it, because our science and everything was not as advanced. So they turned it into sort of like a deployable, kind of like a Baymax, if you will. They gave it like a skeleton, and then they let the symbiote grow over it, and they give it commands and go liberate that concentration camp. And he goes, just do boom, 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 and mission done. Like, what now? So he's interesting, and we learned that Dr. Doom has implanted something like a secret command in his mind to take revenge
Execute Order 66.
That's essentially what it is, and he takes it to heart, where he just blows away Eddie.
Wrecks Eddie really bad.
I figured he was probably gonna shoot him. When I was reading this panel over here where his arm's up, I was like, oh, it's happening. But I didn't expect shredding him up. I thought it was just going to be one solid cannon blast in the chest.
Practically ripped him in half.
I thought he was in this panel, with all the blood effects that Ebon put in. I was like, oh, did he just vivisect Eddie? Good God!
He
but then
rent him in twain is what I thought.
Almost at this point. I mean, look, his like entire guts are spilling out.
You don't want your midsection looking anything remotely like that.
If this is happening to you, go see a doctor.
Right.
Quick side note, not even comics related. Have you seen that video of the dude in like Washington who he's like a homeless guy, but he has like a brain thing and his brain is just like exposed and he's just like walking around? Have you seen that? It's it's gross, it's creepy. I'll send you the link later if you're up for some grossness, but he's just like he had like a surgery that they had to like take off some of his skull, so he's supposed to wear a helmet that protects it, but he lost the helmet. So for like a week he was walking around Seattle with like
his brain exposed,
and he was like smoking. Like it was crazy. There's like he's like smoking cigarettes and his brain is just like out, and it's just like, what is happening here?
That is gnarly.
All right, Eddie's not yet, and neither is that guy. Surprisingly, Zero. I was so surprised. I was like I don't like when my teeth are sensitive and the wind blows over them, right? Like I can't imagine the wind like tickling my brain.
Oh my gosh.
But so then we get Red Goblin and Toxin jumping in, trying to put an end to all this. I love this panel, by the way. Like I feel so bad for Pete. Like just grabs him by the head there and bam, just down. And then I also laughed really hard at that shot of Pete right there in his hands. Because I'm just like, yeah, Pete's done.
Oh man, Pete's gonna have a bad day in the next panel.
yeah, exactly. So then we also find out that Kang also implanted a command in Red Goblin. And guys, if this all sounds a little weird with the Kang and the Doom planting, I am skipping over it a little bit because these two plots take up like 10 issues of the Venom run. So it's way better for you guys to go engage with it and get the story there. I also recommend it. It's just a good run. But if you've read those stories, you'll know when this all happened. But essentially, we're getting the culmination. Both of their Order 66s go off, so they sort of go at each other, which is much to the safety of Eddie, who gets rescued. Then we just get symbiotes going symbiote. More
great panel layouts.
I was just gonna say, like, just this art. Iban kills it every time. Like, if Dan Mora is in charge of DC and Jorge, give Iban control of your of Marvel. Like, just at this point,
1,000%.
because he's easily top 3, top 1 artist you guys have right now. So we get a good brawl between Spider-Man and Bedlam. We see Eddie is dying, Dylan's crying, everything is sort of in chaos, and that's where
this was kind of a touching moment here.
This is why I really wanted to get here. Yeah, like this is what I was talking about. This is because you were saying, dang, it's sort of a shame that we're already done. Like we're already done with this. They're no longer linked. Bummer. You and I liked it, but I was like, this send off though. Like just this is how good it was. Even in this last connecting moment, they have this deep like understanding. I would almost say like brotherly fraternal love, and it hits like
there was this go get 'em buddy moment.
But there's like this. There's also this where they're like where he's like, oh man, everybody's going back down fast, and then the symbiote was like, I thought if I stayed, it would keep them safe. Eddie, Dylan, even you. I thought I was poison, but look at him, Peter. He's only a child. He needs me in a way you never did, and that like to Pete. I love this because this shows how much like Pete is the symbiote master, because who gives it up? We never see anybody give up their symbiote willingly. Maybe Flash, but that's also like a hero symbiote. It's the anti-venom. Yeah. So for him to go, I'm willingly giving you up, is crazy. No fight, no resistance, just like nothing. Yeah, it needs to happen, and letting him go, like that's Peter. Like they know what to do with him as opposed to Zeb Wells. It's crazy. Also,
Al Ewing understands these characters.
Also, notice how like nothing Wells related is playing in here. The Wells series doesn't even the Wells series doesn't even reference the like events of Venom War. It's almost like two separate universes. I feel like they've just shunted Amazing away, and they're like, go go like a little kid, like go run around and exhaust yourself, and then we'll go home, right? Like, it's crazy. But then he gives up the symbiote, gives it over to Eddie and Dylan, and we get
dude, Dylan's design there is gangster.
I like it.
That
like
design is so 90s. Yeah, it's like this cross between Null and what's his face from Wildstorm.
It's not Grifter. That's
No, not Grifter. What's his face? The one that's in all red with the half cowl. You know who I'm talking about, right?
I do. Oh my gosh. We got to just look it up then, because this is gonna bug the hell out of me. Wildcat.
It's gonna bug the hell out of both of us. Yeah.
Wildcats, red members. Here we go. I don't need sports Wildcats. I need comic book Wildcats. Okay, there he is. I have his picture. What the hell is his name? Wildcats members. You're not giving me anything. Spartan?
No, it's not.
No, because Spartan had the hood.
Yeah.
Or he had like the open neck hood thing.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna bug the absolute crap out of me if I can't find this.
Oh man. Warblade? Is it Warblade? Even though Warblade's got the open face, he doesn't have the under mask.
No, that's not it. Hold on here.
Oh yeah, Subhuman. We haven't had a Wells corner yet on this show because of all the issues that have dropped in the 3 weeks we've been doing this show. He's only dropped one issue, and it was nothing. Like there's nothing for me to even really criticize. It's a nothing issue. So once his run is starting to wrap up, we should be done with it, I think, in November. So as we get closer, I'm sure we'll hear more of it, and you will definitely hear me whine about it. Hey, what's going on? There he is. Venom not even just wanting to go back to Eddie Zero, but like wanting to protect him, like caring about him and caring about Dylan. It's a good. We're seeing lots of character development from sort of everybody in this sphere, from Dylan realizing that he can't be such a brat all the time, to Eddie. He's going to have the realization. You can tell he's building to the realization that he needs to sort of step away from being the King in Black and deal with being Eddie, which is what I think this will end with. And then you see Peter growing to understand that the symbiote's not the absolute scary thing he always knew it, or he always presumed it was, and sort of really exemplifying his heroism. Like, I care about you. I will reach out no matter who you are. I'm here to help. So this is it's been a great arc altogether. Ewing has been killing it, and again, and it's not just Ewing, it's Colin Kelly, it's Jackson Lansing, it's Erica Schultz, it's whoever is on the Lethal Protectors book. I haven't read one Venom War tie-in that I haven't enjoyed. Like there are moments where I'm like, no, like Sparky. I'm still not over Sparky, but
still not over Sparky.
Still never gonna be over Sparky, but that it's still a good issue. I still had fun reading it and was like, oh wow, this is a story.
Yeah, the Zombie Oats book has been good so far. The story for Venom War Wolverine's been good. I enjoyed Venom War Deadpool. I'm curious to see what they're gonna do with Venom War Fantastic Four, which is
next week. Yeah,
I think. Yeah. So I was misremembering. It's called Lost Serpent Prince. Never mind. It's done by Brett Booth, and he did a lot of that older Wildstorm stuff.
Yeah.
But it's his own new character that he created. So.
He definitely looks like that. Here, let me pull up the cover for you guys. Artist Elite presents. Oh, hey, this is the link I clicked. Took me to Midtown. That's neat. I like when that happens. I just like seeing like indie books and stuff on bigger sites. Like I think I told you the other week I was browsing through League of Comic Geeks to play our weekly game of where I guess whatever things you. Hey, why aren't you picking my browser? I need the browser to be. Oh, everything is going crazy right now. What is happening?
Do the thing.
Do it. Do it right.
Figure it out, Chrome.
This is so everything. The Chrome. I don't know what just happened. What is happening? Why are you in a weird size? Okay, size is back. It is the size that matters, everyone. It is the size that matters.
Wah wah.
Wah, wah. So yeah, there we go. I like that.
Yep.
I like that.
That's cool
That's
as hell.
cool.
I'm
Again,
a fan.
Brett's the best when you can't see the faces.
Oh Lord, I'd kill to have him on a book.
Venom really changed. Oh, you guys will get him. He'll do a Rippaverse. I know he will. I've had the luxury of exchanging just cordial words with him, and he seems like a cool guy. So,
Kind of jealous.
Phrasing there, Zero. Phrasing there. But yeah, Venomore is fantastic. I highly recommend everybody go check that out. And let's see. Let's go back to the comic book page. Yeah, great design. I was really happy to see that classic Eddie look, right, or the classic Venom look.
Yeah.
Now that Eddie's got it, and when I saw that transformation, Andrew, I was like, oh yeah, here comes the gold suit that we're getting in all new Venom. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the groundwork for it.
Yeah.
I didn't
and
even.
I'm so here for it too.
I didn't
I'm
even
so ready for
transition
it.
over. Oh yeah, I can't wait. I genuinely, it's such a simple improvement, but it looks so good. What is this?
Yeah.
Oh, it's an anthology. Got it. I was like, what are all these like? Oh, I'm looking at the. Gosh, I always forget what I'm looking at. I was looking at this, and I was like, what are these things on the side? Like weird. Like he has like 3 story part ones, and then I realized it's like an anthology, and those are all different people. Still very cool. Still definitely. I would pick that up if I saw that on. Tyler Kirkham wrote it. Dang, that's actually a get, or like that's actually he's actually not a bad writer. That's really good. That's awesome. Now I'm like way more interested. All right, let's see. The next, is there any Marvel thing in particular you want to hit before we jump on? Was there anything that stood out to you that you want to touch on? You just want to comment on? It was kind of a slower Marvel-ish week.
It was.
We got our Venom Wars.
Yeah, something that surprised me though that I didn't love it, but I was I enjoyed it enough to where I'm like, okay, I'll pick up issue 2 was Storm #1.
All right, yeah, this is interesting. Let's talk about that because I sort of had the exact same feeling about it. Which comic? Oh, yay! Also, did you see that? Yeah, Kelly Thompson and Gurihiro won the Eisner for Jeff.
I am so ready for Venom War Jeff. I need it.
It's so we here at Foil Variant we love Jeff. Like I know
love Jeff.
We love Jeff. There's
going to be a week where we have Jeff as a stream buddy.
Oh hell yeah! But it was like a couple weeks or like last week. Andrew saw like what the hell is Venom War Jeff? Like who's Jeff? And I was like, oh, you haven't seen Jeff? You should like check out Jeff. And I shared a couple of the Kelly Thompson Gurihiro stuff, and we were both just like, these are great. Oh my god,
they're so fun.
That was the first time I had read them too. Like I knew who Jeff was, and I knew he had like his series, but I didn't know what it was like. So I was reading that with you, and I was like, dude, these are really fun. So
yeah,
go check out
here
Jeff.
For it.
Go check out Jeff while we talk about Storm. So we got Storm. This page bugged me because they're doing like an intro to her, but they do like she has been the Queen of Wakanda, Regent of Morocco, an X-Man, an Avenger. None of those suits line up to any of those boxes,
they
don't. It bugged me. Like you don't have to do it, but I feel like you should have.
The thing that bugged me the most here, though,
and
was the
hair.
hair they went with for
the white
second
one
panel. I'm like, what are you doing here? Because like in the rest of the book, Storm's got exactly the kind of hair I love on
that
Storm.
You like, the long goddess hair.
Long goddess hair, because that's the vision that I've always. Oh, that page is absolutely stunning. Like that exudes.
I liked this paneling too. Like you have the full door here with the inset of the door, and then when you go to the next page, it flies open. I really liked that. I thought that was good.
Yep.
Layouting. I also just really like this suit. This is a really good suit for her.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, because she's had some hit and miss suits. She's had some that are just top tier, and then she's had some that's like, what are y'all doing here?
Yeah,
what is
like
this? Who approved
yeah.
this?
So she.
Where's your creative man?
She got. It's Marvel. They don't have any. So the essential plot of this book is or actually, you take it. You're the one who brought it up. Why let me do the talking? What do you want to talk about with this issue? I have one main thing I want to talk about, but we can get it's near the end.
So the interesting thing with this issue is that actually, and it's actually probably what you were going to be talking about, is what it builds up towards. So it goes from being in the present to the past and then back to the present, because what it is it's setting up why humanity supposedly has this distrust of and hate for mutants again all of a sudden, because Storm and I can't remember her name.
Frenzy.
She's new for me.
Yeah, no, she's in the last like 5 years. She's very new, so.
Yes, so she's super new. Like she was created in that period where I was not reading X-Men books. And so they're going to investigate what's going on in this specific town in, I believe it was Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And something had gone wrong with like a nuclear reactor there. And they're saving people. They were doing some cool sciencey stuff that actually works in terms of like when you have something of a specific energy and force, in order to stop that, you have to meet it with that same energy and force. And if it's the exact same, then they'll cancel each other out. So
yeah,
they were doing some cool stuff.
Liked
I was
that.
like,
that
okay,
was cool.
nice. And what made sense to me here is because she was utilizing the particles and things in the air, in the atmosphere, to create these shock waves to cancel out the other shock waves. And of course, this wasn't something that the writer just pulled out of her butt, because we know Storm to be a master of weather, the master of elements. She would understand how this works, maybe not necessarily on a scientific level, but at more like a spiritual
level. Yeah, exactly.
Like at a spiritual, ethereal level.
It's
so
intuitive for her. She just understands what to do.
Exactly. She'd be able to feel the amount of force that she would need to exude and push back with in order to cancel out these shockwaves. And so there were a lot of cool scenes of them rescuing other people. There were a couple of things where, like, there was one scene where Frenzy goes to rescue some people, and one of them's wearing like an Orca shirt.
Yeah.
And Storm says, "No, we save everybody. It doesn't matter who they are." Right. Which was, I mean, that's a very like Xavier mutant ideal, right? And so it was okay. She's carrying on Xavier's legacy there in her heart and in her mind when she's saying something like that, right? And I loved that moment. But we come to find out that what's causing all of this destruction was a young mutant and their powers activating for the first time. And there's all this inner monologue from Aurora talking about how sometimes, even though it can be this momentous, glorious moment and an event of the activation and realization of a young mutant's powers, sometimes those powers can be incredibly dangerous and they cause massive destruction. And that's what happened with this kid. And she got the kid to stop, and the kid has it's no fault of his.
No,
he can't control this, right? But he has these. I hope that this is a kid that gets utilized later on down the road, right? Because he's got some like either shockwave or nuclear powers that he's working with. Like,
because it says she gets radiation poisoning, so like it's not just
she's even
force.
Vomiting here.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting and kind of heartbreaking too. And it was well written with Aurora's inner monologue of like, this is an incredibly heartbreaking and difficult thing to witness when it happens this way, right? And while she's part of like this cleanup crew, we have Tony Stark there, and he's talking about how like, people were initially thinking it was the fault of the scientists, right? That they screwed up because they were using alien parts for building this reactor and things like that. So they were all antagonistic and angry with these scientists, but it turns out that it wasn't their fault. And so Aurora is left with this incredibly difficult choice where she either protects the mutant child, and honestly the mutants as a species in terms of their public facing reputation, or she protects the scientist's reputation, right? And ultimately, even this is one of those horrendous choices you would never want to actually make, because neither party actually did anything wrong, right?
Yeah, like this is the line that like made me like, it gave me goosebumps, like actual when I was reading, when Tony's like, so Aurora, it's down there at the bottom. So Aurora, you have a call to make, and she's like, stay silent and let mutants have this win, or tell the truth to defend the honor of the deceased. And I was like, oh man.
And that's harsh, man. That's rough. And Tony gave her that choice too. Tony could have just like said that it was, it was this mutant
like
kid,
we have to do this, yeah.
right? But he left it up to her because she's going to be this liaison between the Avengers and the X-Men, right? And because she's part of the Avengers now, which they've already said that they're going to do a new Avengers versus X-Men freaking event.
I'm so tired. I'm so tired.
We don't need to do this again, guys.
We do it like every 5 years. You have them get mad at each other, and it serves nothing. It's so boring.
Like, are they going to try anything different with it? Like, still keep Aurora on the Avengers side during this? Like, what are we doing here? Like,
they always do that. Like they did that with Wolverine, right? They're like, oh, Wolverine's going to stick with the Avengers on this one. Oh, yeah. Like Scarlet Witch is sticking with the Avengers on this one. There's always one mutant who is Avengers adjacent whenever this goes down, and that's always the who do I side with? And it's just like, I'm tired.
There's nothing new under the sun with this overall premise and idea. Right?
Just like with the mutants are so underserved, or so prejudiced, or whatever. Like,
and all of this.
I'm tired. I'm tired of it. We've been here.
It's a note that has been overplayed, right? It's worse than the same 4 chords in every single pop song. So like, honestly, I thought the overall story for this issue was really intriguing, and it had a couple of genuinely good, like, heartfelt moments where I was like, wow, that's like really, really smart and emotional writing there.
So I agree with you 100%.
And she makes the choice. She
chooses to tell the truth, which was like, I genuinely was shocked by that. So my relationship with this book is a little different. Like, I've known about this book coming out. I read a couple interviews with the author. She's not, what's her name? It is,
I can't pronounce her name.
I'm trying my best here. It's an African name. I'm trying. Murwewa Ayodele, I think. That's my best guess.
If you're out there and you ever see this episode, we apologize.
Yes,
please. I'm not even going to attempt, because I would have butchered it worse than Spencer.
And I have slight ethnic privilege from my half Asian, so I can kind of get away with it. So she's not a typical comic book writer. She's more of a literature writer. And so when I was reading all the promo stuff, it was like, here's this woman who is a very like African studies centered writer. Here is a character that they are trying to bring into this new era and define her as her own, and sort of, they're not saying it, but they're sort of trying to do the, like, let's blow her out as our current, like, diversity X-Man, and we'll highlight her a lot because she's on the Avengers, she's on the, and again, I love Storm, don't get me wrong.
Well, they have the benefit of, with that kind of a choice, they have the benefit when it comes to Aurora, because Storm already has a big built-in fan base.
Right, a big built-in fan base, and
you just have to do proper service to the character.
Yes.
That's all you have to do, because she already has a lot of fans. I'm one of them. I prefer her leading the team over Scott.
At least, yeah, I mean, especially the current X, like, team. I don't even know what the hell they're doing over there. But yeah, so with, like, that information in mind, I went into this book and I was like, I'm going to give it a chance. And then I got to this page where they were like, oh, it's a nuclear reactor that's breaking down or whatever, and I was just like, oh no, we're getting an activism book, right? Like, oh gosh, because that's the common I always know it's an activist who says that,
right,
when
go anti-nuclear power and all
when
of this,
it's
right?
Genuinely the safest, cleanest, like, best thing we could possibly do. So I was like, oh no, we're going this way. And then we got to the choice, tell the truth or let mutants go. And I was like, I know what's going to happen. She's going to like not do the right thing, which
she's going to bury the scientists, essentially, bury their reputation.
It's understandable to an extent, but still, it's like, she's Storm. That would have been, so I was very, very worried. But then everything surprised me. It wasn't an anti-nuclear screed. It wasn't a weird pro-mutant or like a mutant as like minority analogy thing. It was just a good, straightforward story about a leader who, like, a woman who needs to lead, right? Like, it was just
and who was given an incredibly difficult choice.
Yes.
In a position of leadership.
And so, I really liked it. Even all of these, like, when they had this scene right here where they're talking to people, even the people that they're trying to portray as a little, like, prejudiced or, like, you know, anti-mutant, nobody is, like, a cartoonish parody of anything. Yeah. Like, the vet up there isn't this, like, stereotypically, I was a soldier, but the government, I hate the government. It's all androgynous. It feels very real, honestly.
It's kind of ideologically androgynous.
Yeah, so I really like that. They handled it really well. Although I will admit it goes a little bit into less androgyny, but the guy at the bottom here, when he's like, when you realize how real the extraterrestrial threat is and how little the government cares about shielding us from that, you're suddenly glad that the mutant next door has the power to protect the neighborhood with his eyes. I'm like, that's exactly it. Everybody, screw the government. They're not going to help you. Like, we know that in real life. I was like, this guy's, he's waking up.
He gets it. Hashtag based.
Oh my God. X-Men versus Inhumans. I forgot about that event. I kind of have buried all that Inhuman era stuff. They didn't do anything with it. Like, do you remember Civil War II? Their entire plot was we have an Inhuman who can literally predict the future. You should have. But they were like,
I did read the first arc of Inhumans though, when they were trying to push.
When they were trying to, yeah.
Right. I don't think I have it down here. I think it's in one of my boxes. But it's
it was
where they.
Fine.
I don't even remember the name of the main guy that they were trying to push.
It was
the dude with the fire powers.
Yeah, they just called him Dante. Like,
oh, that's right. Yeah,
very
it was just
easy.
His name.
Yeah,
right?
it was just his name. He didn't get
looked
a code
cool,
name.
and that's why I picked it up off the shelf. I was like, oh shoot, because I think Joe Mad drew it too. So I was
yeah,
like,
he did. That's why I was like,
okay,
oh, it's you.
Yeah, I'll get a Mad book. And I read it and it was fine, but like. That was when they started like super pushing Inhumans because Marvel didn't have the film rights to the X-Men and all that, and so they were trying to like really crap on the X-Men and push everything and anything else.
So what really bugged me about Dante as a character and sort of made me convinced that this was the like you guys aren't really trying here. Oh, hey, look, it's our stats. You guys want to see what we're doing right now? But so this is Dante, right? This is what he looked like when he got introduced, and that's his suit. It's sort of orange, with some lining stuff, and he lights on fire. So I'm like, okay, fine. But at the like exact same time that they introduced him, whoops, I copied the picture. That's not what I needed to paste it. They also introduced Johnny's costume like this, and I was like that. That's the exact same thing.
That's the same
and
suit.
Then they were like, "Oh, we're gonna bring Johnny to be like the consort of Medusa, so she's in these Inhuman books." So I'm like, am I looking at Dante or Johnny in this fight? I have no idea what's going on. And now Dante is just nowhere. But sort of what I was getting at with the Civil War II thing is that the Inhumans push was so bad that their entire plot was Inhuman can see the future to like a T, and then the entire event resolves with him just disappearing reality. He's just like, I gotta go, guys, and he fades out, and we have not heard about it ever again. Like, it has never been referenced. Like, more so than they were doing with Heroes in Crisis and Sanctuary. He's just gone. He's just not there anymore. Hey, at least like that bit of DC is all over for now. But then, so the main thing I wanted to talk about with Storm that sort of bugged me was this. So she holds this press conference, and it's to talk about her actions saving the town in Oklahoma, but it's also she's making this announcement, and everybody's like, oh, are you going to open a new embassy, a new school? Like, are you going to run for the Senate? What are you doing? And she announces that she has launched the Storm Sanctuary. And it's this big ship you see hovering above you. And she basically says that, like, so her screed right here is, I want not only mutants, but humans, sorcerers, interplanetary immigrants, superhumans, gods, and everyone else who calls this planet home to look up in their moments of trouble and give a sigh of relief because Storm has made their skies her new home. And I don't know, there was something, this just felt weird, like this concept of like, I'm going to hold a press conference to let you know that I'm going to have a floating city above you, but you're not all necessarily invited. I'm just hanging out there. And it's like, okay. This seems, I don't know. This plot point seems very not Storm to me. This seems
not
very
only not Storm, but just not like fleshed out or thought out. Now maybe
Yeah.
we'll be proven wrong in issue 2 or 3 or whatever subsequent issues. But I'm with you that like this page when she's talking about this Storm Sanctuary, I was like, but why?
Well, what is it? Yeah. So, did you ever read Cable and Deadpool?
Yes.
Okay. Remember in the very beginning of that series, for the first like 20 issues, there's the whole Cable creates like that island paradise in like the middle of the ocean, and he invites everybody, and that's what this sort of reminded me of. And I thought like, oh, Storm's gonna sort of set up a floating interplanetary refugee camp, sure. But then she's just like, no, this is my base. This is my house.
Yeah, I just live up here now.
Yeah, like that. Like, hey, I'd like to hold a press conference. Hey, MTV, welcome to my crib. And I was just like, what? That's so odd. What are we doing here?
Yeah, because every other moment in this book feels like Storm, but this moment didn't. Because it was like
felt so weird.
It felt like Storm elevating herself in a way
Yeah.
that she doesn't ordinarily. Like that's
Right,
not her.
she's not her.
Storm doesn't
Yeah.
need to do that. She just exudes that energy all on her own, and people elevate her because of that, and because of the way that she acts and how that she is with others. And again, she shows that throughout literally the rest of the book.
Yes.
And it's just this moment where it's like, but why?
I feel like we might be seeing that really rare moment where you're seeing a fledgling new writer actually understand the character better than Marvel, and Marvel going, well, but you got to put this in. This is our mandate. This is what we're doing with the character now.
Mhm.
Like, that's what it feels like. Because, again, everything else is fine, and then we get weird spaceship house.
Right, yeah, because it doesn't feel consistent with the rest of the book, which is a good book, I would say.
Yeah. No, this is a solid issue. I'm genuinely surprised by it. I'm down to check out more of it. I'm at least in for issue 2. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'm at least here to see what they do with issue 2. Absolutely.
And then we've got this cool thing with Eternity, which is sort of, I guess it's the through line of the book. But I only stop on this page because I really like that white suit for Storm
dude,
right
that's
there.
beautiful.
It's a good combo of like her old 97 white suit, and then I like that era where she has that black headband thing. I don't even know what you call it, but like that's when she like marries T'Challa and stuff. I like that costume. So I just, you know me, I like my alternate costumes. So I really like
I
that.
know you do.
That's pretty much it for Marvel, except I'm just going to highlight this page. It's from Ultraman X Avengers. Pretty decently solid book if you like either Marvel or Ultraman, but I just thought this was cool. Ultraman coming to talk to Galactus, and they're both sort of like, this is what I do. This is what I do. And they're not brawling. They're just like, we're forces of nature and we have to talk.
Yeah.
So, really cool page. If you want to see the full thing, it's over on my Twitter. But I think that's probably it for Marvel this week. Not a lot. Let's get into DC, starting with a book. We got it. I think because it ended.
Take us through Absolute Power, the ending, real quick.
Woof, yeah. So if you guys have been watching either my show or Foil Variant, you'll know that Absolute Power has been absolutely sort of garbage. It is retreading a lot of the same plots we've seen for years. Amanda Waller bad. Amanda Waller want to stop superheroes. Amanda Waller do whatever it take to stop superhero. And we've talked about it before. In recent years, they flanderized the hell out of Amanda's character from where she was once somebody like pragmatic and understanding of like, if I send them out to this mission, they might not all come back. But if they didn't, she'd be like, I'm going to do everything to get them back. But nowadays, Amanda's just like, no, I'm just going to kill you. I don't care. So she's very much not Amanda anymore. And this entire event has sort of been just the most. If I asked you, anybody out there, it doesn't matter your writing level, go tell me a story you would like. What kind of story do you think you would write about Amanda Waller? You would probably hit it right on the head. You would go some story where she takes away everybody's powers and tries to establish herself as top cop. Ta-da! That's exactly what you got. But as we've talked about,
You just wrote Absolute Power. Congratulations.
Somehow you managed to equal Wade in writing, which is sad. I do think that DC got a whole, like, they were like, you're doing this. And he's like, fine, okay. Because Wade's writing is so good in everything. I even read the first 6 issues of the current Shazam run because he wrote that along with Dan Mora on art. And I was like, dude, this run's good. We even talked last night. Like, you and I don't read Shazam. We're not Captain Marvel guys. But I saw Dan, I saw Wade, I went, all right, let me give it a shot. And I was like, this book's really good. What the hell? So something went wrong here. But long story short, we have finally reached the end of this event. We have the, basically we get an assault on Amanda Waller's base with all the heroes. Art, as always, is really good. It's Dan Mora. You get this, I mean, there's that slick Impulse over there. You get Wonder Woman. Just everybody always looks good when they're drawn by Dan. So basically they're going to war. The Amanda Waller's plan is like, oh, I'm going to create an army of multiversal like heroes and villains, put bombs in their brains, and I'll have a multiversal army. So they're trying to do their best to shut it down before they all get through. You can sort of see in this panel, you've got Owlman and a weird, I don't know what the hell that thing is behind him, and then like a firestorm trying to get through. Flash is trying to shut it down. Barry. This is probably the coolest moment maybe of the entire event. Is Barry is trying to shut down the multiversal portal for Amanda. Hal's trying to keep the door sealed so that they don't get through. And where is it? So you can see like Ultraman starting to break through, but then all the Flashes come in, or everybody but Wally, because Wally's on the front. Or no, Wally is there. Everybody but Barry, because Barry's doing the computer. They all show up and they give them his willpower, and it causes them to like massive Kamehameha blast it and seal it off and let Barry do what he needs to do. So really, yeah, exactly, Zero. This badass moment, really, I absolute loved it. Again, Dan Mora is killing it with the art. You can just never go wrong with what he does. Also, Max is back. I feel like Max Mercury has been gone for a long time, so I'm very excited to see him back. Yeah, then we get the twist that, I mean, I think I called this months ago, but it's like, Ollie is a secret agent. Okay, he's going to double-cross Waller. He does. Everybody gets their powers back with some exceptions. Some of them get their powers changed. Oh, man, I got to go to the widescreen one here real quick. But you can see, like, down in the corner here, we have Tora and what's her name? They switched fire and ice powers. I thought that was kind of neat. Mm-hmm. Will be interesting to see how that plays out. I know that that's a big element of this all-in initiative that they're doing.
Yeah, that they're shifting some people up.
Some powers. Yeah, I know there's them, and then we get a shot of Black Canary with laser vision later on. So that one I'm actually kind of interested in, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be in that Tom King book, and I just do not want
which means
anything to do with it.
Not picking it up.
So then the event all basically comes to a head. Heroes fighting, fight. Everybody wins. Yada yada yada. The way this all breaks down is that Nightwing Dreamer comes back from the dead. She died in the first issue of Absolute Power. She jumped back, and no, that's not Killer Frost. It's Dreamer from Supergirl. She survived. She hits Waller, knocks her down. Nightwing shows up, basically does the taunt the villain until they talk. Amanda Waller spills her plan. I don't know if you guys remember the DC hero Airwave. He's basically he can ride radio waves. He has been a minor character. He hasn't really done much in the last 30 years. God bless you, Wade. You found a way to make him relevant. They used him as sort of the you left the microphone on. So he was able to stand next to Nightwing, convert everything Amanda was saying into radio waves and blast it out. So now everybody knows that she was lying. And so some people have powers, some people don't. But the main reason I wanted to highlight this issue, because otherwise, if it weren't for this scene, I would have just shown that Green Lantern page and been like, all right, cool, we're done here. But for all the garbage this event was, at the very least, they're now giving us a break from Amanda Waller, because this entire event ends with Amanda Waller in Belle Reve in solitary confinement, and Dreamer has manipulated her way through her mind and not removed all the information about heroes, like where the Batcave is or their identities, but sort of locked it away. So it's always on the tip of her tongue, but she can never ever reach that information. So
that's almost torturous.
It's almost like we were talking about with Wally and Inertia last week. Yeah. It's almost like that. But I am just so glad that we can sort of, for the moment, put Amanda Waller to bed and just
for
be
another year.
I know. I've said this on like 2 streams already, and in Discord, and everybody's been like, she's coming back, and I'm like, I know,
Like, we
I
know.
know, but let me have this like month, like this week where I don't have to think about her like at all. So that's pretty much how there's the Black Canary with the laser vision, and then this issue just sort of rolls right into the events of All In with Ollie being like, hey, we need a Justice League. What are we going to do? And everybody goes, check it out. We've got the Justice League. So all in all, it's a really bad event with some really gorgeous art out of Dan Mora. I'm really sad that this issue did not have, it has one Dan Mora Zatanna drawing, but she's all the way back here in like the dark. So it's not really that great. But all in all, it's Dan Mora. You guys know him. You love him. He's the best. I can't even say pick this like up in trade. I have one issue of this book, and it is the free comic book day release of like the preview issue, and I only bought it because it was on like 75% off because nobody wants it. But it's a foil version of that shot from the very, very first issue where Superman like takes the bullet in his chest and he's falling down.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you have that one.
And it is, to me, it's one of the most beautiful pieces of art just like ever put to a comic book. So I was like, I'm gonna get this just for that. Like I know it's not great, I know this event sucks, but sometimes you buy something for a cover or just one piece of art. Yeah, this shot right
the
there.
only thing related to it's Dan Mora.
The
only
it's
thing
Dan Mora.
related to this event that I have is that foil of Iron Man's armor. No, not that. No, that never mind. I'm thinking of my variant for the Ultimates. Never mind.
Oh yeah, I have that. I have that variant for the Ultimates too. The pink Iron Man one, the spot foil one.
Yeah,
I have that. So yeah, that rolls into. Let's get into. I guess I know we're already near the 2-hour mark, but who cares? We're gonna keep going. Let's get into the biggest book of the week, if you will. All right, with this book, that's not what I wanted. That's Johnny. We don't need to talk about Johnny.
He failed. He had one job.
I have multiple jobs that I'm failing today. We got this week. We are all in. So we've officially gotten to our next publishing initiative. What was the last one? It wasn't Rebirth. Was it DCU?
No. What the hell was the last one?
That was a dumb one. DCU. I was like, I don't even understand what this one means. Yeah,
I don't think they did either. It's whatever the hell it was after Dark Crisis.
I know. I can't. I can like see the trade branding, but I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, I got nothing.
All right. Before we start talking, I need to go to the bathroom. I've been holding it in. It'll be really quick. I just need a number one. So I'm gonna let you vamp. I'm gonna let Andrew have the floor for a second while I go and. I'm trying.
Handle your business, man.
And look at this. I can put, so fancy.
Oh,
okay.
Look
I'll
at
be back.
that. Who had that made? All right. What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for hanging out with us in the chat thus far this evening. It has been a blast. As always, I hope you guys are enjoying the comic book chatter. There's not enough positive comic book talk these days online. Not honest, positive comic book talk. You can kind of like force it. And, if you're watching some of the shill channels out there, but then you have other channels that do the opposite and maybe force some negative outlooks on comic books. And the fact of the matter is, there's a lot of dog water to sift through. There is, at the major publishers and elsewhere as well. But there are still a few gems worth reading, and I think it's important to be honest about those, as does Spencer. So we really enjoy having these honest conversations about what we're reading and enjoying. And you'll inevitably get some weeks where we talk about some books that we didn't all that much enjoy. Because it's going to be inevitable. We're like, was it our first week, our first episode? We had Dazzler. And Dazzler is not good so far. That was a weak start. I was not a fan. The art was beautiful. The cover was beautiful. Both of them, including the foil variant. In fact, it made our thumbnail that week. But the book itself was not good. However, most other books that Spence and I have been reading have been at least decent or really good. Now, obviously, we're not reading everything that's coming out. We're being pretty selective about what we're picking up and putting our money towards. But
I mean, we've been hurt too much. We can't just go right back into buying
yeah,
every
I'm not
book.
gonna just all of a sudden add everything that's coming out every single week. No, like I'm picking my spots, picking my favorite characters, and going, okay, impress me, or at the very least, don't push me away, right? Like let's see what you can do. And a lot of books have been doing a good job so far. Shoot, though, if you had told me a few years ago that I was going to be enjoying the hell out of a Gail Simone X-Men title,
I know.
I'd have called you crazy and off your nut by 1.5 miles.
If you'd have told me a year ago that I would be doing like I would be checking the weekly releases again and like finding variants, I would have called you insane. I would have been like, there's no way they're going to recover anytime soon. But with the Ultimate Universe, something flipped. Like that's where I got back in, and books started getting a little better. Like Mark Waid came back, the DC stuff started getting better. So I think we are on an upswing from where we were. We're definitely not back at where we were pre-2014 yet, but we're getting, or maybe not getting
or
there,
even
but
at 2016 DC, which was, when they popped off Rebirth, they were doing really well in a lot of their books. For good reason. There were a lot of really good books,
Yeah,
but we need to have more consistency to actually get back to that place, and hopefully, All In is going to be where that consistency starts.
So this is funny, Subhuman. If we have time, we'll talk about it. But in the new Batman book, he does all that's back.
Yeah,
apparently,
Bruce has everything back. After, Joker War.
Which, like, I pointed that out to Andrew. I was like, what? When did he get it all back? Because I was like, that was the last place I left off, was penniless Bruce. So it does look like they did their reset. I guess you could sort of say about it, and they did it in the form of this all-in special, which I like these sort of montage moments of Justice League members joining. Again, I just like sort of seeing everybody. I really liked everybody's interactions too.
I enjoyed the way that they sorted out the Justice League in this book more than just about any other.
Yeah, no, this was... Oh, and then of course we get an amazing Booster Gold story. I loved this interaction between him and Superman. I love Superman just having that sort of secret, maybe not secret respect, but like he wants better from him. He knows he can do better, and he's sort of always rooting for him. And
he believes in him.
Yeah, that's the right way to put it. He believes in him. So just seeing all that was really nice. I know Andrew is not a Booster Gold fan like I am, but I've been a big Blue and Gold fan ever since the Days of Infinite Crisis. That was sort of where I got introduced to their relationship. So I saw Ted die, and then I saw Booster sort of lose himself. So I've always liked, and then that right after that, because that was Infinite Crisis and everything, that's when Dan Jurgens launched the solo Booster series, which if you guys have not read that, go read that. That's a good... You guys remember Legends of Tomorrow, where they would sort of go around and fix the timeline? It's like that, but a little more consistent because they can play with more rules and stuff because they're comic books. So good series, but I've always been a fan of Booster. So all of this was awesome. I loved, just the respect finally being given to him. And then we get all of our new Justice League. Everybody's assembled. I don't know. So I like when they have a satellite hangout, right? Or like a base.
I like the idea of the Watchtower more than the Hall of Justice, personally.
Same here, 100%. I did like I don't remember what it was. Was it Young Justice? Where there was one show or comic where they opened up the Hall of Justice and they were like, this is going to be like our Earth Museum, like visitor center. And I was like, that's a smart idea, and you're bringing in that continuity. I like that, but I like the Watchtower as a base more than the Hall of Justice. But
it seems like it would be more secure.
More secure, and also more sort of DC superhero, right? Like, these are the guys who are, again, DC heroes are gods pretending to be men. Marvel is men pretending to be gods. And so you got to have your gods pretending to be men above you. It just sort of makes mythological sense. My questioning here is that they've clearly gone, no pun intended, all in with the concept, right? They've got, like just the setup here. They've got all the magic and science. Oracle did everything. They've been integrated boom tube tech. They've got Green Lantern technology. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. It makes sense. what's going to happen when this eventually just like blows up? Like I feel like you guys have played your big card already. I feel like this has to be the ultimate one. You can't go anywhere from here unless you just build up. So
my hope is that we don't, and obviously we see here very shortly, it does get attacked. It doesn't get blown up, but it does get attacked. I hope, 'cause for me, that's like the Justice League's home base, whatever it ends up being at the time, whether it's the Watchtower, whether it's the Hall of Justice, whatever it is, it feels kind of like the movie Batmobiles a lot of times, where it's like, okay, so I'm counting down the minutes and the panels until this thing gets blown up, right? Like, can we actually just leave it alone and let it be for a good long while? Can writers attempt to not dig into that well of, oh, what's a good way to pop off this event? Oh, someone's gonna blow up the Watchtower again. Like, oh wow, I haven't seen that at all before.
Oh yay, yeah, and like to that point, it feels like an inevitability now, right? Like I'm sitting here going, when's it gonna happen? So if it does happen, it's not a surprise or a big like, whoa. It's just like a, all right, we finally got here.
Now what? Coming, right?
Yeah. Now where do we go?
Now what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The other thing that made me maybe not laugh, but be like roll my eyes, and mainly because of what happens later on in the issue and what you just brought up about it being secure. They note right here that their head of security is the Question. Now, I like the Question. I like both Questions. I like Renee and I like Vic. I don't know how you have a again, no superpowers. She's just a detective with a gun. I don't see how that makes who's going to invade the Watchtower? It's not petty thieves. It's the Sinestro Corps. It's Mogul or Mongol. I mean, it's these big threats that aren't going to care about a little shotgun. So it just seems, I don't know. I don't know. They should have had somebody else in addition. Like if she was like the investigator, like, oh, we had a crime, send in the Question. Cool. Makes sense. But as just general, I'm in charge of security the entire time. It felt really weird. Like you're just going to be able to steamroll her. Like when you see an elderly security guard, you're like, what are you going to do? You're going to stop me? I can outrun you by just walking.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. And I'm kind of ambivalent on the Question. I neither like the character nor hate the character.
Yeah. No, but to me it's more of that capability of like you're not gonna stop anything that really wants to get in. Like it's just,
it's like above your rank. You aren't protecting this place really. Like what are you doing? Protecting it from the heroes that are in here? No, you're not.
No, you're not.
It's exactly as you said. The Question's a detective.
Yeah.
You don't really have much of a place here.
Unless there's something we need you to investigate.
Yeah, exactly.
So then we get this awesome shot of all the Justice League assembling. They're doing the Justice League Unlimited style thing from the end of the cartoon where they sort of pool all their resources. Everybody's a member. Send them out on strike teams to certain missions. I always like that idea. It makes sense, especially when you have 900 heroes doing 900 different things. The one thing I just want to point out real quick that's been bugging me, or not been bugging me, but I saw her in a comic earlier today, and whatever. Trinity, that new character that Tom King introduced, I hate her.
Yeah, that's supposed to be Wonder Woman's daughter.
Yes, and I hate it because it's a Tom. So I love. Okay, so let me restart. Right here in the middle, you can see Yara Flores, the last Wonder Girl they tried to introduce, and I like her a lot. I really liked what they did with the character, where they were like, she's not an Amazonian per se. She's from the like Mesoamerican offshoot, so she's dealing with Mesoamerican gods while Diana has the Greek gods and stuff. I was like, she's
got a cool design at least. I'll give her that.
She's got a cool design, so I liked her. And surprisingly, when she got introduced, most people were either like, or they were like, I like her. She was one of those rare successor characters that they handled the right way, and people went, I could be open to you. They immediately threw her away for Trinity.
Yeah.
And she isn't anywhere. She's not in books. She makes cameos in Absolute Power and this special. But no, Trinity is your number one. she's the bestest, yay! And I want her gone. I just want all Tom King.
Already
Tom King
over.
was like,
Yeah.
I know you guys did the 1 in a million thing of creating a new diverse character that people actually like, but can I put my fan fiction over her? And it's like, oh my, like, get him out of the offices, my lord. Like,
Can we
do
just
not
like
need him.
undo anything Tom King has ever done? Can we do that?
I can't think of one creative decision of his that I would leave intact ever.
Yeah. Even though his first couple of arcs on Batman when Rebirth popped off were decent.
But it's like the How I Met Your Mother effect, though. I know where it ends, so
Yeah.
going back and reading it will make me angry. I will just get pissed off because
No,
I
exactly.
know where it's
I
going.
could live without them. I could absolutely live without them. They're not must-haves for me, right? They're not Tynion's Batman.
Right.
Or
Oh,
they're
yeah,
not
100%.
Scott Snyder's Batman, right?
No,
Or
I know
Chuck
what you mean.
Dixon's
It's just
Batman.
it's a decent bat read, yeah. At least until you get to the wedding.
Yeah, in isolation until you get to the non-wedding, then
The special,
Everything goes
yay, so subversive. But then, yeah, so we have the Justice League meeting, and then all of a sudden something freaks out. Everybody starts speaking backwards. Darkseid Omega beams shoot out of their eyes. I really like this sort of meta page where it's because this is the same page. So like, what is it, like page 7 of this side of the story? This is also what it's burning those holes through, Andrew, are it's page 7 of the other book.
Yeah.
So from like Darkseid coming through
on the
so
reverse side.
Yeah, so I really like that. I thought that was cool. We get Darkseid. He returns. I actually didn't remember that he had been gone since. He's been gone for a long time, since like before Dark Knight's Metal. I think like he's been not here, and I was like, wow, that's really surprising.
Yeah, actually. He
Yeah.
has, and it's kind of funny because he has that bit of dialogue in the book that in his story that kind of makes that a bit of meta commentary.
Yes, I know.
Sometimes just them admitting, yeah, sometimes we don't know what to do with this guy.
When we get to that line, we'll point it out because it's probably our favorite from this issue.
It really is.
There's an art error here that really made me upset. Do you see it, Andrew?
Which on this page?
On this page, there's an art error.
I have to blow it up. Hold on.
It's right there. Oh, dude, yeah, Subhuman. I love Cassie. I want her to come back too.
Oh, Cassie Sandsmark's freaking fantastic. I also love Donna. So
yeah, I love pretty much everyone that's not Trinity. Every one of Wonder Woman's sidekicks who's not Trinity, I'm right behind him. Appropriately behind them.
I feel like this is gonna be so obvious to me when I actually see it.
What color are Hal Jordan's gloves normally?
Oh my god.
They like skin toned it. It's so bad. I'm like, that's a coloring error, but I'm like, it's Hal Jordan. You make it white. Like, very odd.
Yeah, I can. So I can see based on maybe it was a read on the lighting.
I think because the one back
the way
here
that he does it
looks white. The one that Hal's holding back looks white. The one in front looks completely skin toned.
Yeah, so it might have been an error. Or it could have been just like a
bad use of coloring.
Yeah, where it's like I get what you might be going for here with the
red shading kind of. Yeah, that's right, with the Omega beams and everything.
And so that's adding that slightly fleshy looking tone to it. And so maybe in the conversation of just lighting, that would bear out and that would make sense. But for the sake of what most people would understand, the layman, you should have just made it more white.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm right there with you. I am layman. So then we get just this fight. This whole thing's going down on the satellite. Darkseid's fighting. Da 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 da. It's all pretty cool. Like there's not a lot to talk about because they're just fighting and yelling, but it's a cool exchange and everything. Like I'm not against it. And then, so this is where this to me is where the special starts going a little off the rails because I was really behind it up until right now because of what we're about to get to, and you know what it is. So this first part in the main DC universe, it ends with another like scar being torn open in the middle of the universe. They have no idea where it's going. This is sort of what we were talking about earlier, where they introduce things at the end of events and forget about them. At the end of Dark Knight's Dark Metal, they introduced Elseworld. That was like a world that was in development. I don't know if they had this plan the entire time or if they forgot that they ever introduced it, but they brought it back, and that is the all-in world. So I liked that. I like when writers can recover like a fumble like that. Like, this made sense, and I was like, okay, even if you guys fumbled, it works. I'm cool with it. So then, and then, where the frick is it? This is, somebody says it around here at one point. Somebody notes that, like, oh, the multiverse isn't, like, we just shut ourselves off from the multiverse. That was the other thing. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot about that. Absolute power. That Barry and Hal, when they're trying to stop the other people from coming through, they destroy that console and they cut Earth Zero can no longer go into the multiverse. And I'm like, thank you, God. Like, we're done with that for now. Again, so it'll come back with Waller, but at least for now, it's like we're done. But I know that, I think it's either in this book or somewhere, but somebody says something about, like, the multiverse doesn't exist. And then somebody shoots back, like, you know how the nature of the world works. It will always be reborn. And I went, I had like 5 minutes where I thought we had no multiverse for a little while, and then right back into it.
And then they flat out say, the multiverse and the omniverse will be back. And I'm like, no!
I hate the omniverse. They never even did anything with that. Like, we have a multiverse of multiverses, and then they kept going to different planets. So I was like, drop ball. But also I'm glad, because I think that would have just been an overbearing concept. But yeah, so they send Booster into the void, essentially, and he gets to that other world. He discovers that the world is, I guess, ruled by Darkseid, but specifically his enforcers are the Legion of Superheroes, a dark-sided version of them. So or actually, you know what? Let's before we talk about this, because they talk about it like at the end of the second story too. So that's the end of the main Earth Zero story. I liked it a lot. Except for, God, we talked about this last night. They reuse a panel. They reuse the panel, so it's this one right here on the right where Diana's talking to Superman and Batman about going into the void. A couple pages pass, and then we get it right here, the exact same panel again. They literally
just cropped part of it.
With, like, the exact same text to the point. Like, I get that the joke is like, okay, it didn't work the first time, now they're just repeating it. But I thought we were time looping. I did
too. We both had to go back and reread.
Because it's like Booster and dimensional travel, and I was like, what's happening? And then we were just like, oh, it's just lazy art. I mean, technically, the one above it, those two above it too, are art reuses, but at least the second panel has an effect added to it. So it looks different. I know it's not great. I'm still not a fan of it, but it's something. It's at least.
It feels like a major shortcut taken to try and get this thing to print on time.
Oh, this is really weird. I didn't notice this. When Booster, so look at Booster here. He doesn't have his collar, but when he travels back in time, he gets his collar.
Yeah.
I wonder if that means something, because we saw his ring change from a Legion ring to that Darkseid ring. I wonder. Might be cool. Might be cool. But then, then we get to the expositional part of this initiative, this special, this whatever you want to call it, and we get sort of what happened to Darkseid in the last few years. And we basically learned that I really liked a lot of the setup of this story. Specifically, he learns, what is it that like starts him off? He like feels a surge of like energy from somewhere after like an event. I forget which event it was, but he feels like a surge of energy, and he goes like, what is that? I need to find it. And so he goes and he makes a device. And that was the first thing that really surprised me, because you guys see here, he's building this device. He sacrifices his blood to it. Calabac comes here, and Darkseid's like, I need to sacrifice more blood, whatever. So he tosses Calabac into the...
he kills Calabac and tosses him into there.
Which is like, I love that. Like, again, just a villain who will do villainous things. He does not care about you. And he throws him in, and I was so surprised because it turns out that it's a miracle machine, which is literally
We
like
haven't seen one of those in a while.
since Final Crisis, and that's the thing that Superman used to sort of save the day. So I was like, whoa! They remembered it. They're using it right. I like this. Okay, cool, Darkseid. Let's see what happens. And I'm also disappointed though, Andrew, and the reason that's why I was like stuttering over this page, just because I wanted to note it. So everybody on Apocalypse is like, we have no like Darkseid. You've been gone for like 2 months. You haven't talked to us. So what did you? We thought we'd help you. We thought we'd make you want to conquer again. So Calabac goes out, and instead of parademons, like the standard whatever they are, they went and enslaved like Cesarnians, Daxamites, White Martians, and everything, and brought them into their army. And I was like, that could be cool. That's great, especially with the Cesarnians, which is what Lobo is. So I was like, may we see that, please? And then they were like, no, you're not going to get to see it.
Nope, you don't get to see
yeah, exactly. So he activates the Miracle Box, or the Miracle Machine, and he starts traveling across different DC realms. So he starts in Hell, where you see like Trigon and the Devil. He goes to Heaven, where we see Zariel, which is... I know nobody likes him, but I like that DC hasn't just written him away, that he's still around and they still use him. Like, I don't know. It's more admirable than just going, never mind, we screwed that up really, really, really bad.
Right, yeah.
Forget
about him.
It's the recovery thing I was talking about, right? Like, they stumbled, but somebody recovered. So then he goes to Eclipso, fights Eclipso on the dark side of the moon. This was actually kind of brutal, I thought, where...
Yeah.
Because, like, Eclipso lives on the dark side of the moon because that's where he's most strong, is in the dark. So Darkseid goes to fight him. Eclipso's like, I'm stronger than you. We're in the dark. He even manipulates his Omega beams. But then Darkseid's like, I set a timer on the boom tube. And I opened the boom tube in the heart of the brightest sun in the whole galaxy. And so just that fire light, just like, imagine that, like, and just like imagine that, like, immediately opening on, like, your street or something. Like, it would just be like shock and awe to the extreme. So
yeah,
kills off Eclipso. Finally finds his way to the Spectre, Jim Corrigan. He's able to stop the Quintessence with the Miracle Machine. Bonds to the Spectre to sort of...
That's what he wishes for.
Because he's like, if I get the Spectre's power, then I'll have like God's knowledge and the ability to sort of do whatever I want, and that will let me find the information I want. What was that energy? So he bonds with the Spectre. With all that, that's is this, I forget, is this the fight on the Watchtower? It gets weird here.
Yeah, then it jumps to the fight on the Watchtower.
That's right, yeah. So then it jumps to the fight on the Watchtower.
Some of the dialogue.
That's right. Oh yeah, that's right. It's right here. You're totally right. So then we have that scene from the first story, and then we have the Spectre explain to him, like, you're a key player to the universe. You're a constant. Like, you're a primal force. And then
that's why there aren't any other dark sides.
Right. And then where does he say that line?
Keep going. I know which page it is when I see it.
Is it?
It's after that one.
Where I am him. No, because that's the booster stuff again. Oh. I think we might have been right on that page. I'm
trying to. I could have sworn I knew exactly what the panel looked like. It's in a bottom panel, bottom right-hand corner is what it's going to be.
Like there's you have no double. There's a being that embodies hope. It's Superman. Okay, I think it's right here because he goes, dude.
That's where he says sometime, the ebb and flow, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh, there it is. One. Yeah. So this
bottom right.
So yeah, the Spectre explains to him, like, you're a constant. Like, that's the reason you felt that energy surge and nothing changes for you is because only you exist. There's no other dark side in the multiverse. And so then he does he learns that, and then he goes, I'm seeing my story, seeing it in its entirety. I see every fight I have had, every fight I would have, and I see that he is right, the Spectre. This role of mine, the ebb and flow of it, being more at times, less at times, a god, a pawn, all of it is the way of things. So
yeah,
that's
a meta line if I've ever read one.
It's so good. We both of us were like, Andrew messaged me after he read that. He's like, did they just admit they don't know what they're doing with Darkseid? And I was
Yeah.
like, yes, they did.
They just admitted it in the damn book.
Because they do that all the time. It's like one time, like in one fight, Darkseid is God. Like you guys are screwed. In the next, you can like trick him, right?
Yeah.
Like you can just, for the best examples, honestly, I can give is like Darkseid, or not Darkseid War, but the first New 52 Justice League story where he invades.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's all hands on deck. This is crazy. And then the Supergirl story, the Michael Turner one, right? Where it's like he's on Earth and he still gets walloped just by the two Kryptonians, like very easily. Okay, sure. What are we doing here? So, yeah, DC never really knows what they want to do with him, and they're always power scaling him. So Andrew and I think we both are on the same page. We're like, that's an amazing line. Yeah, it's a little bit of them going like, yeah, we do that, don't we? But it's also like, at least you guys know. So it means at some point we might get something different. I mean, we are getting something different. Admittedly, this all-in stuff is all Darkseid. It's all Darkseid related. So they're doing something, but that line is it's a good line. I like the writing of it, the poetry of it, and just the meta of it. Like, yep, you guys never know what you're doing with him.
Yeah.
But then this is the part where you and I get really confused. So the fight with the Justice League ends, and it ends with the Spectre in Superman or is that it? Yeah, Spectre is in Superman, using him as sort of like a puppet. And in that fight, he manages to like tear Darkseid's like soul from his body. And in doing that, he dies. Because Darkseid ends. And we saw that in the last story. He just sort of disappears.
Yeah.
This is where it gets weird, because we understand, I guess, like by the universal rules, this is like, it makes sense that by universal rules, Darkseid has to be reborn. If he dies, he comes back. That's like the Spectre said, he's constant. But all of a sudden, he magically, after his death, is just on Elseworld. Like, is he able to?
He finds this world specifically very. I mean, at least we can only go based off of what we see on the page, which is, it's immediate. He finds this other world very conveniently. Right.
Well, because he even says it in the dialogue here. He's like, I let the Spectre be torn from me, and I open myself to it, to death, and as I end, I begin again. So yeah, it's immediate. And so, to me, that just feels like one of those movie MacGuffin Deus Ex Machina moments where it's like, hey, it just worked for you. I wouldn't have minded seeing maybe like a one shot or even a mini where Darkseid is
him
hopping,
like trying to seek. Yeah, where he's like trying to seek a new planet to begin again on.
Oh, right? Yeah, and so like, imagine that he goes on a new planet every issue, tries to subjugate it, tries to do whatever. Then he has to find a way to die, which is like, how do you kill Darkseid? So that could have been a really interesting thing to eventually have him, end of the series. What is this world? This is the world I can work with, or whatever. Like, that would have made more sense. I just thought, really convenient. You die, and did you pick this world? Like, it just very, I didn't like it. But then we get our sort of first looks at the the absolute universe, and it's not any different than what we've already seen. It's kind of just the covers, right? Like, there's Wonder Woman flying, bats being all buff, Superman like landing. So that's sort of where this part of the story ends. It ends with Darkseid having taken over this universe, and like a reality where Darkseid will be, and then it ends on the same, here's the Legion, and they're back again. So now that we're at the end, I know you weren't a fan of Darkseid World, right? Like, you were saying, like, this seems sort of, we've been here?
That's kind of what it felt like, and it also kind of, I think what I said last night was that it felt a little contrived.
Oh, yeah, 1,000%.
That it kind of just kind of felt like it was like, well, this is happening because this is what's convenient and it's what we want to do. Like, okay, like, I'll give you a little breathing room and wiggle room to, like, prove yourself to me, show me, right?
Right.
But at least right now, like, I still don't have anything resembling a sense of urgency to jump all in on the absolute universe. Got him.
Got him.
So I'm at this juncture, I'm looking forward to a lot of the all-in stuff. I'm just not on absolute. I don't know. Like, I'll end up picking up for sure the first issue of Batman and the first issue of Superman,
Yeah.
for no other reason than who the creative teams are.
I'm
Like
excited
the
for
creative
those teams.
give me reason to at least be like, okay, so like how could this team actually fail? Even if I'm not on board with the premise, like I'm familiar enough with these creative teams, I do trust them to put out a good product. So
Yeah.
there's that. As far as Ultimate Wonder Woman though, like Kelly Thompson, I'm good.
I only have the first issue on pre-order because I feel like it would bug me if I had Batman, Superman, and not Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that's the only reason I'm getting it. I'll probably drop it immediately after that. So
that's
like,
fair. Unless she pulls a Gail Simone and surprises us.
and she could. She's coming high off of that Jeff win. So maybe all the juices are flowing right now to give us the best Wonder Woman comic possible. But the Wonder Woman comic, the Wonder Woman comic just felt the most generic out of them. Like, it's Wonder Woman, but she comes from hell. All right, that's okay, sure. Yeah, I have Superman on pre-order. I have Batman on pre-order, mostly because I'm not necessarily sold on the concepts or the idea, but I'm willing to see. I'm just like, impress me, right? And I will admit, I've also, with the I know you don't share the sentiment, but with a lot of the promo stuff that's been coming out about Ultimate Batman or Absolute Batman, I've been like more and more, my interest is peaking. I wouldn't say I'm like, yeah, this is the book I'm super excited for, but I'm going more and more, okay. Could have some stuff here.
Might be cool.
I need to finish that graphic. I have most of it. I have most of it done. I just need to do the font now. Like, I got to put the like might be cool and do the animation. But I'm glad we actually touched on Absolute real quick, because I just wanted to bring up the story. I meant to bring it up last week, but it made me super angry. So, for those of you who don't know, if you go and you pre-order comic books from any given comic book store, even your local comic book store, you can typically get the books, depending on how far out you get, at a pretty good discount. Andrew and I use Things from Another World for our variants, and they give you like 30% off if you get it really early. So that brings like a $12 foil variant, drops down to like $7. It's a pretty good deal. It's very much worth it, especially if you're like us and you buy comics in mass. So
several books a week.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really helpful to get that 30% discount. So when they announced the Absolute Batman books, or the Absolute books a couple months back, I immediately went. I was like, okay, got Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Then I was, it's our, the show. Andrew and I were looking through solicits. We're like, you seeing any foils? And we were like, no, nothing for Batman at least. And we were like, weird that Absolute's not getting any of that. Yeah. And lo and behold, so it comes out next week. Last week, on the final order cutoff day, they added 2 foil variants for Absolute Batman. And because it was that, they added it that day, and that was the order cutoff day, I couldn't get the discount. So I'm still buying them, but I'm pissy about it.
Yeah.
Like, I just, why would you do that to me? So, yeah, no, that's a funny story. And then, okay. Or I want to tell that story, but let's see. Yeah, terrible series, Space Dave. We're right there with you. Maybe something cool will come out of this. We see glimpses of things that might be cool. You gotta prove it to us at this point. I personally like this Evil Legion idea just because DC doesn't do anything with the Legion anymore. They always forget them. Yeah. They're like, here's the Legion, we're bringing them back. Canceled after 5 issues. We're moving on.
Well, I mean, you had Bendis.
Don't say it. Damn it! I knew you were gonna say it. Don't say it.
I mean, there's a reason why I think they haven't done anything with him or with them in a little bit, because Bendis just like.
I mean, that explains why we haven't really seen any of the Young Justice crew either. Like, Impulse hasn't really been anything. He's in the background of things.
Yeah, he's in the background of some Flash stuff. Like, he was practically a cameo character in what was it? 1 Minute War.
Yeah.
And
that made me mad because they put him on all the covers. He's on all the covers.
Yeah, and they freaking not jobbed him, but like they made him look lesser next to Wallace. And it's like, and they had Wallace saying something to him that's like, why would that be news to Bart? Like, Bart, Bart is so much more familiar with the Speed Force than Wallace. It's not even funny.
Yeah. No,
So it's
I
like,
mean,
I read that line. I haven't even read the whole event yet. I just like, I remember reading that panel and being like, "That's stupid. Get out of here."
no, it was I feel like there's this weird phenomena where nobody really remembers that Bart isn't Bartor.
Yeah.
And
No, he is not.
And it's
Bartor is
not
a completely different character.
And they've actually shown him. Like, well,
Yeah.
it's been like 5 years since they've shown him, but he came back for like a brief second and was like, "Yeah, I'm Bartor.
Yeah.
I'm a villain now." It was something dumb, but it's like this weird thing though, where it's like they sometimes remember he's not Bartor, but then they do remember he's Bartor. So you'll have a moment where he like talks to Barry or Wally, and you're like, "Oh yeah, that's Impulse. Like that's his personality." And then you have a moment like that where it's like, "Why is he teaching him something?" Like Impulse should know this. Like he knows better than Wallace, even if he is
by
more
a
like
long mile.
a long mile. So yeah, I didn't like any of that stuff at all. Freaking Punk says, "I don't buy any foil variant covers mainly because they're expensive." If we didn't have that discount, we probably wouldn't be buying as many foil variants as we do, or as many comics as we do, because yeah, they get expensive nowadays. Remember when DC was like, we're drawing the line at, what was it, like $3? That lasted for like a month. That did not go anywhere. They even did like a nice art piece with it, and nope, didn't happen. Freaking Punk also asks, "I know you guys mainly talk about comics from DC, Marvel, and Image. Any plans to talk about comics from Dynamite?"
We talk about the comics that we actually buy and read. So
Yeah.
if there happens to be a week or period of weeks where we're grabbing some books from Dynamite or other publishers that pique our interest, we'll talk about them, right?
And,
If it's worth talking about, like if it's that good or it's that bad, we'll talk about it. Or maybe there's a book that's like super hyped up by everybody and it's coming out of Dynamite or another smaller publisher like Boom or something like that, right? And maybe we'll talk about it. But as far as the ones that we currently do, yeah, it's mainly the big two. And we'll talk about indies at some point as well. And I'm reading a couple of Image books. I'm reading Witchblade and I'm reading Lady Mechanica. So
those just haven't been out.
Yeah, any week that those haven't been out. Like I think next week is when the next issues of those start coming out.
They dropped the week right before our first show. I remember that.
Yeah, so we'll get to talking about those for sure. But yeah, we talk about, here's the thing, we talk about the stuff we actually know about.
Yeah. So like
we're not gonna just pull something out of our rear and start talking things good or bad about something we actually are ignorant on.
Right. I think I messaged in the very beginning, Punk, but like I'm trying to get into the Vampirella stuff, the Dynamite stuff, which I like so far, but I'm not familiar enough to go like, this is a good run, go buy this book, check that out. So we wouldn't want to give you guys a disservice, because otherwise we would just go, hey, guess what? Vampirella and who's the other one that they do? There's a blonde
Red
one.
Sonja.
Yeah, it's Red
Dynamite
Sonja.
does Red Sonja.
Yeah,
as
it's
well.
Red. It'd be like, oh look, there's a new Red Sonja Frank Cho cover. Go buy that one. It's gonna be great. And it's like, oh, it was written by like wine mom Gail Simone, and nobody wants to read that one, right? So we're gonna be honest with you. We have nothing against any publisher in particular. We're not saying not that ever, just whatever comes our way.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are at the 2.5 hour mark. Andrew, let me ask you a question. I know we said that we would check out DC Solicits today. Do you still want to do that, or do you think we should?
I think we should just hit Batman, and if
Gotcha.
there's one other book, and then we do it there.
Yeah,
but I think honestly, Batman might take up probably a good half hour. So
Yeah,
I think we do Batman, and then we
Yes.
wrap it there, because there's a lot to unpack with Batman. I think both you and I like a lot of things that are going on in that book.
All right, before we do that then, I think that's good. And guys, again, we're still trying to get our bearings. Solicits take a while because we'll go through them. So it's a journey. Hang out with us.
Yeah.
We'll get there eventually. I just want to share this story real quick because I've been teasing it, and I think it's super, super funny. Oh, you need me to, that's weird. This image on Google was so high definition, it made me save it instead of opening it.
Oh wow.
I know, that never happens on Google. It always gives you the tiny,
Maybe it's
like, baby one.
Yeah.
Maybe it's spyware, whatever.
I can't say a single instance where that's happened to me.
We're not done yet, Zero. We were saying we're skipping solicits.
Yeah, we're skipping solicits for this week, and we're jumping into bats.
So
after,
before we get into bats, so this story, so for those of you guys who don't know, Dan Mora, or you should know Dan Mora. He's the artist we always gush about. We love him. You guys saw him earlier during Absolute Power. When Dark Crisis 7 came out, the final issue of that event, he did they did a second printing run, and he did these 4 variant so there's 8 images, divide them up into 2. So like Batman and Superman, Hal and Barry, Diana Arthur, Titans, and Shazam. And
Actually,
each of
that's
those,
Wally.
Is it?
Yeah,
I mean,
Wally.
maybe, maybe. But I mean, maybe these
eyes.
days. I would say that normally, but we also see that they're giving that to Barry lately in cover art, so I have no idea what they're doing. I mean, that's also me being facetious because we don't know who that other Flash is in the new book. It might be like a speed clone, but I still have no idea why there's. You know what I'm talking about? There's that Flash running next to him that has like his costume
Flash.
on.
That's in Flash 14 or 6. Is it 14?
No, because 14 is the all-in cover, so it's the one after that. It's a variant for the one after that.
Okay.
So this I'm only defensive because it's like, it's Flash. I know my Flash, damn it.
Yeah, no, seriously. I get you.
And I know you would have been disappointed. You probably would have just quit the show if I'd have gotten that 100% wrong without any explanation. So
fake fan
right here. You caught me. So this these covers came out, and they're, like I said, they're divided up into 2, so it's 4 total covers. I've been looking at them just because I don't particularly like Dark Crisis, but I love these pieces. I love Dan Mora.
Oh, they're beautiful.
I think if I could get these like set up in a nice display, it would look awesome no matter where I put it. And so I've been looking around, and like last night I went on eBay and I found a set, and somebody was selling them for like $40 or like $45 for the whole set. And I was like, that's not bad. It's about $10 for each issue. Sure, maybe. Today I had to run to the comic book store because I needed to grab where is it? This cover for Andrew because it was sold out at his store. So I grabbed it, and when I was there, I found out that my local comic book store, I walked in, it was the cashier who is there's like 3 guys who work there. This is the one that I always talk to who knows me. And then there were 2 other guys, 1 employee and 1 customer. And while I'm checking out while I'm looking, I go over to grab your book, and I'm looking through the racks, and I see the Batman cover of the Dan Mora set sticking out from like behind something. And I went, what? And I go over, and all 4 of them are there. And I'm like, oh my God, like I can grab them all right now. And for cover price, like I don't have to do any like upscale. So like on eBay, they were 10 each. I can get them for 7 each here. This is crazy. Why not? I'm walking up to the register, and the employee who's like over here with the other customer, they start talking, and the customer is like, oh, aren't you guys having like a big sale this Saturday or whatever? And the employee was like, yeah, we're having, our anniversary sale, so come early. We're going to have, everything is going to be on discount except for, he's just like, everything's going to be on discount, like 30-40% off. You guys get here early. It's going to be great. And so I went, oh, dang. If I can get these for, that discount, I guess I was going to go Saturday anyway, but if I can get these, I'll try there. I can at least get like $12 off for the whole set. So I put them back. I go up to the register, and I'm talking to the guy, and he's like, oh yeah, just this for today? And I'm like, yeah, just this. I was going to grab some covers over there, but I heard that you guys are having a sale, so I figured I would just hang out for those variant covers. And the other employee is like, oh, you got to be careful though. The sale on Saturday, nothing new. And I went, oh, no, don't worry. I'm not looking at new variants. I want 4 variants of Dark Crisis number 7. And all 3 of them busted up laughing. Because like I was saying it like, no, don't worry. I want like 4 issues of that crap. And all of them were like, seriously? And like they all cracked up, and they were like, we haven't moved an issue of Dark Crisis 7 since the day that event dropped. Nobody wanted that. And I was like, I know, it's not because of that. It's because of these covers. And they were like, oh, okay. But I was just like, the immediate response to saying I wanted Dark Crisis 7 and an entire like group of strangers just going, oh, I was like, that's beautiful, DC. That's beautiful.
That is funny.
So yeah, wish me luck on Saturday. I'm going to go try and grab all that stuff, some other fun stuff. We'll see
Get
if I
there
walk away
first
with
thing.
anything cool. It starts at 10 and it's 10 minutes down the road, so I'm waking up at like 5 a.m. We'll go. We'll do this. No, I'm not
Camp
getting
out.
up that early. No way. No way. Not
Camp out
anymore.
for Dark Crisis 7, man. You're a braver man than I.
With nobody. God, I can't even
Said
wrap my head around.
literally no one.
I
ever.
know. I don't even know what joke to make around the absurdity of Camp Out for Dark Crisis number 7. All right. With that said, let's get into this issue. Probably our highlight issue of the week. You want to take us through this one?
Yeah, why the hell not? So this is a great jumping on point for Batman books, and I like when the bigger publishers do that.
Yeah.
This does take place after a lot of things have happened, but the way that the issue starts off is it sets the tone for the issue very well. It actually subverts your reader expectations in like the best of ways, because you have this moment where, you know, this family is going down an alleyway, and this dude who looks like he might be, you know, a criminal or homeless.
I mean, he looks like Joe Chill. He's got the hat.
No, that was absolutely done intentionally.
Oh yeah, that was definitely intentional.
Because, you know, we thought reading these panels, we knew exactly what was going to happen. Batman's going to swoop down, he's going to kick his butt, family's going to be saved, yada yada. Bob's
and that's
drunk,
sort of like that's the sort of scene you would expect in a jumping on story, right? Like give the people a taste of like, oh yeah, you know Batman, right? This is Batman. But yeah,
and that's happened in a million Batman books and probably a million and one more. But that's not what happens. Instead, the dude just winds up giving this family directions because, like, they're trying to get back to their car. Like, the wife and the husband were slightly arguing when they were on their way out of, like, a theater or whatever. And she's like, I knew you should use the parking garage or whatever. And it winds up kind of subverting our expectations in the best of ways. And that the dude just winds up giving them directions.
Just directions.
Batman's sitting up, watching this unfold, because obviously he's gonna swoop in if he has to, but you know, he and Gordon have this back and forth of, you know, them saying Gotham seems like it's starting to maybe get a little bit better, right? Because there would be a time where that would have absolutely not just been the expectation but also the reality, right? That would have been an actual criminal, you know, trying to rob this family. Potentially you get another orphan situation like what Bruce did when he was a kid, you know, tragedy like that. But Batman
there's your new Robin. There's your new
right? Yeah, exactly. And so I like this simple back and forth of them discussing the state of Gotham. And it also made me smile that Bruce is there sipping a cup of coffee. It's like, yeah, I know you need a little bit of caffeine. Everybody does. I vibe with it. But we then get this shot of Nigma Tower.
Yeah, down there.
Because somebody is being pitched to us as having gone down the straight and narrow. And there's some really good dialogue and lines from Edward Nigma later on that we get. But there's also this setup with the current... I don't know when this guy became mayor of Gotham.
This was like during Tinian's run. Like he's been around, but he was never major. Like this is the most he's kind of had. This is the most play he's had in a long time.
Okay, so that's probably why, because I stopped after Joker War, I think.
Yeah,
it's like comics.
It's like it's either right before then he gets like into Gotham or right after that. I think it's right after, because then they're like, we need a new mayor after all that, and
because I had never heard of him before, so I was like, oh, okay, so this guy must be new, and he came in after I had dropped all my books for a few
good
years.
reason.
Yeah. Most things were crap at the time, and I also couldn't afford them at the time. So it was like a combination of the perfect storm. I was like, well, at least I can't afford
bad stuff.
Books.
Yeah, like
right?
At least you're giving me a reason to stop. Thank you, DC.
Right, but we get some setup here of how he's running the town, and clearly he's making deals with some people that maybe he shouldn't be, because he set up none other than Vandal Savage as his freaking
police commissioner,
which is a wild choice. But we get the suspicion that he's got some family issues going on.
We get the Court of Owls appearance. Like this guy is a Court of Owl.
Yeah, out in the open. This dude is he's working with the court, and he not so many uncertain terms, like threatens this guy threatens the mayor. Is like, hey, it'd be a shame if all this information came out that we have on you, right?
If you keep going after Nigma, then we could make your life a little difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shaking it down.
Yeah, exactly. But speaking of Nigma has decided evidently to go down the straight and narrow. Now, let's be real here.
I mean,
this will not
it's
last.
crypto. It's crypto. How straight and narrow can you be? But
crypto,
still.
bro. But he has a conversation with Bats, who's been kind of looking into his activities and also snooping around his building, which is technically illegal if you're trespassing. So in fact, that's a remark that Nigma makes towards him. Is like, by the way,
that's
you're
how he gets rid of him.
Yeah, you're breaking the law right now. So how about you scat, right? But he has this really good line of saying that he's tired of trying to convince people that he's a genius when he could just be a genius.
I could
and
just
actually
be
leverage. He could leverage his brilliant mind. A Riddler. Some of my friends know this. I don't know if everybody does. But Riddler's actually my favorite Batman villain. And
I might agree with that, honestly. I think I might agree with that. I'm not a Joker guy. I don't like the Joker.
Joker's fine to me, but I like a lot of Bat's rogues gallery more than Joker. I like Freeze. I like Raish. I like.
I like Raish and Talia a lot. Yeah,
and I love Bane, but Riddler's my guy.
Riddler makes him be a detective.
Exactly. And I love when somebody who's actually smart. See, smart people use Riddler and they use him well. Because
it's that line, like a character is only as smart as the person writing them.
Correct.
And they're not putting smart people behind him.
No, they had not been.
Mariko Tamaki, yay!
Oh gosh!
She was on detective. Never mind, but same thing.
Yeah, but it's this really cool dynamic here where you get to see, and Bruce comments on it later on, where he says there's still malice behind his eyes, right?
Oh yeah,
Of course that's the case. Edward Nigma hasn't gone straight, but he's convinced some people that he has. Not everybody. And so I'm really curious to see where they're going with this. I know ultimately we're going to have that moment where the shoe drops and, Riddler's going to reveal himself to, and he kind of in some ways already does in this book, but to publicly reveal himself to absolutely not be on the straight and narrow. And then we'll have some, hopefully, really cool detective storytelling going on. That's one of the things that I'm excited about. We're
gonna have a lot of digital forensic stuff. Could be really interesting to see because of all the servers and the crypto stuff like that. Exactly. That's something we haven't seen before.
He's into all this crypto stuff. People are obviously buying crypto. Well, what's in that crypto code?
Right.
What's in there? Right.
That's a good point.
And what's it gonna do for all those people that have purchased it? Right. So I'm genuinely curious to see where this goes, because Riddler's my favorite Batman villain. We've got Bruce back with
Wayne Tech,
Wayne Corp,
or Wayne Corp, whatever it is these days.
Whatever it is, yeah, right. It's changed. And he's got his money and all that again, and he's trying to do the whole balancing, the work thing and social services thing, because he's putting some money into
redeveloping
nonprofit,
Gotham.
Infrastructure redevelopment, lifting up the lowest and all of that, which isn't a bad thing. It's how thin can you spread yourself, Bruce? So there's going to be eventually that shoe's going to drop, right? When no matter which part of his life it drops on, whether it's going to be on the Batman side or the Bruce Wayne side,
it's dropping.
It's dropping. It absolutely is dropping, because he has conversations with people who work with him regarding hey, you're putting this money into all this nonprofit stuff. We are a company and we do need to profit.
Yeah,
right?
We can't just flip a switch and make money. We need to bolster our tech departments. Yeah,
exactly.
Whoever this woman is, one of those people who's just come in, I guess, in the interim. She's like, we need to make money. We're spending a lot, Bruce. What are we doing here?
Yeah, we need to still fill the coffers, right? And it's We are a business at the end of the day. We are a for-profit enterprise, and
Yeah.
therefore the key word there is profit.
Profit.
And right now you're doing a lot of non-profit.
Yeah, I like that. The between the housing initiative and the many new nonprofit locations, we're losing focus on the thing that makes those possible: our technology and the money it pulls in.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm curious to see where this ends up going, because I think there could be a lot of cool things at play. And I think we're already starting to see a little bit of that. Like, I feel like they did miss an opportunity by kind of playing the hand super early with Riddler, like very clearly being the one who ends up having somebody killed.
Yeah.
But it's like that was inevitable anyway, but I kind of wanted to see it play out a little bit longer.
I felt the same way about this reveal that we're looking at here, that the that Bruce's assistant lady is working with Riddler to like get him to sell Wayne to
yeah,
Nigma.
this lady's basically the new Lucius Fox.
Yeah, she's the new Lucius.
Is what it seems like.
But she's less concerned about like Bruce and more the company, and so she's like, maybe we have to like merge with Nigma Tech or whatever. I wish that this reveal would have been kept a little longer. Like, just that Bruce had somebody undermining him that hard to Riddler.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think these are two plot lines that could have added some mystery to, stretch it out a little bit.
Yeah.
You take your time. Like,
yes.
You don't have to. Batman stories do not have to be high octane, super fast paced tales. You can do some of those, but I like my Batman stories to be a little more paced out. Yeah. Right? Like, I like the world's greatest detective. That's what I want him to be.
Right.
I want him to have a knockdown drag out against, guys like Deathstroke and whatnot.
Killer Croc or whatever. Yeah.
Reminder to everybody, Deathstroke is a Titans villain. Batman appropriated him.
We all know he's a Titans villain because he was able to take out Wally multiple times. Never gonna get over it. Who was it? Somebody the other day. Adam. He was. We were talking something about comic books, and our friend Adam was like, I remember that. Oh, I was talking about the ring in Absolute Power, where I was like, I don't know if just by like touching it and saying like we're giving it our will makes it blast like that, but it's cool. So I'm behind it. And then Adam was like, I think that happened in Identity Crisis, didn't it? Isn't that what Deathstroke did with Kyle's ring? And I was like, you're right, but also how dare you use that for evidence? Like, that does not count.
You just pulled out Identity Crisis as evidence.
Right, like that's what you had to do? Irrelevant. Yeah, no, I
reject it with both hands. I reject your reality and insert my own.
Oh, man. But yeah, no, Deathstroke has definitely been appropriated. I guess they kind of were like, it doesn't make sense for a grown, like, Vietnam vet super soldier to keep getting his butt handed to him by teenagers, and only, like, 5 at a time. Like, it was...
Right. Well, because it
was... I know. The whole thing was it's him getting out over himself and his overconfidence, and he shoots himself in the foot.
And there was that period of time also during John's run, who had a great run on the Teen Titans back in the early aughts.
I love that one.
Where, he had a thing specifically against, young heroes or young kids playing at being hero type of a thing. That was an interesting take on it. I think what you do is you can still, if you want to utilize him with Batman, you can do that.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it would make a lot of sense to leverage him against the original Noon Teen Titans group, right? Yeah. So put that team back together.
Well, they kind of do operate like they're the Titans. Like, they do that now. Like, there's the Teen Titans and then the Titans. Yeah. And the Titans.
But he specifically would have the beef with now the Titans, at least with the ones that were part of that initial team.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The Titans team is them. It's Donna. It's Wally. It's
Yeah, you don't typically have
Dick.
people graduating from Teen Titans into the Titans. It's the Titans are this specific group of people, and anytime they remove certain members, it winds up completely ruining the dynamic, and then the book becomes trash. Because remember, Rebirth started out pretty good, and then they all of a sudden decided, well, we're going to remove Wally from the team, and we're going to remove Dick from the team.
They started off
so you're going to remove my reason for reading the book.
They started out by taking away, arguably, who I would say maybe after like Starfire is the Teen Titan Cyborg. Johns was like,
Yeah.
I want Cyborg to be a Justice Leaguer now, and I'm like, why?
No, he is a Titan. Vic is a Titan.
There's
and
nothing
works
he offers
best with
here.
the Titans.
Like,
Yeah,
it was so
Vic is
bad.
completely useless with the Justice League when you have Mr. Terrific.
I was just gonna say that. Why not get him instead of Cyborg? It doesn't
Like you don't
yeah.
even get the excuse of, well, we need a strong black male character. You have Mr. Terrific.
That's Mr. Terrific. He's right there.
He's one of the most brilliant characters in the whole freaking universe.
Or if your argument is we need the strong black character and we need muscle on the team, and he's like this big hulking robot, John Stewart's right there, and his ring can make construct armor. They do it all the time.
Yeah, you've got John Stewart, or if you want, you could bring in Steel, right? Like,
I'd be up for him. Hey, we're about to get Steel in Fortnite. All right, it's time.
are we really?
No, because Shaq's coming, and Shaq played in that
God,
really
I see
awful
what
movie.
You did there. Oh gosh, I had deliberately forgotten about that. Thank you very much.
I never forget about them because one of my favorite lines in all of cinema is from Kazam, that genie movie he did, where at the
Yeah.
very end, like he's like leaving or whatever, and the kid's like, I'm gonna miss you, and like he's like fading out, and he's wearing that ridiculous genie costume, and he just goes, "You're my best friend," and I think about that line all the time, and then I just automatically leap to Steel because he's equally awful in that movie, so it's always here. Why? Because it's such a bad line delivery. Like it's, "You're my best friend." Like, could you
He's
not?
not an actor.
I know, and that was the cut they kept. So it just like permanently burned into my brain. So that's the end of. I'm actually kind of surprised this week, Andrew, because I didn't realize this until tonight's show. A lot of these books have like strong A and B plots. Like it's kind of nuts because all of this Riddler stuff is what I remembered. But then when we were talking, I flipped one page over. I forgot about this guy. I forgot about this entire part. So yeah,
Tell us about him.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. After the whole Enigma stuff, after we get that awesome setup, we get the introduction of this new hero. I believe he's called like the Commander or something. They say his name in a second. Commander Star, that's who it is. So he's this new vigilante. He shows up. This is literally his first appearance. There's a jewel robbery, a diamond robbery, and the guys are trying to get away. He shows up, cuts their car. He does that super dangerous thing where he's not really thinking about his surroundings, just stopping the object. It starts careening towards a crowd. Batman steps in, is able to flip the van, make sure it doesn't hit anybody. This bit's unrealistic as hell, but I liked it.
Because there's no way that van didn't like.
Yeah, like doof, 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 doof. Yeah, like, but I don't know. I'm allowing it. I'll allow it because it's comic books and it's Batman and it's
I'll
pretty
allow
cool.
it because comics and rule of cool.
Yeah, exactly. Rule of cool. So
I'm a D&D player. Rule of cool will take precedence on this.
every day. One of my favorite characters in all of fiction is Dante from Devil May Cry because he's stupid, but everything he does is cool, and that's all that matters.
he is the living manifestation of rule of cool.
Yes, exactly. He rides a missile like a surfboard. That's stupid, but hell yeah, that's cool. But yeah, so we get this new villain, and obviously we get from this interaction, he's kind of more of a loose cannon. But then we get this, like, one of the thieves is running away, and Batman goes to chase after him, and this dude just kneecaps him. He just
blows out his knee.
does not even care. Like, that's his first reaction. And then everybody gets on him like, dude, you just fired into a crowd. Like, you don't know who was behind him. But because Vandal Savage is the police commissioner, he kind of tells Batman to back off and, he saved the day, blah, blah, blah. And then, yeah, the mayor is like, this is bullshit. Like, he just fired into a crowd. Vandal goes, okay, then you're right. We don't need more vigilantes. Arrest Batman. And they do that.
Right. Of course.
I do like, too, I don't know if you noticed this, but Batman's got the little, effect over his head. It's like, it's a little cartoony, but I thought it sold it really well because it is so cartoony compared to who he is.
It works
like genuine shock
with the art style.
Yeah, exactly.
That's something you only get away with certain art styles.
Yeah, if this was like if this was like Greg Land, just for an example, it would look really, really, I mean, it already would, but it would look out of place. But here,
Yeah.
it sort of works because Jimenez does a lot of effects in his art.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see like down here in this bottom panel while the mayor's walking away, he's got like just like red scribbles to indicate he's like yelling and stuff. So I like it. It's a good little effect, especially from Jimenez. But so then we get that's sort of what the big two things of this issue is. Nigma is a good guy now. He's trying to, or a good guy, and he's got a company. There's this new Commander Star who we know nothing about. He clearly has Vandal Savage's favor, but we don't know if he's working for Savage, we don't know anything
Savage
about
is
it.
working for the Court of Owls.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That could be cool. That could
Because Savage would have been around when
Yeah.
the Court of Owls was originally formed.
And just imagine that, like, the power dynamic there of, like, the Court of Owls is always so powerful. We always see them as so powerful. To, like, bring Vandal Savage to his knees and be like, you work for us? I would love to see, like, that anger building in Savage the entire time. Like, I reluctantly have to do this. I hate them.
I'm old
out.
enough to remember when Vandal Savage was, like, a major villain.
That was, like,
He was a big villain for
90s,
Wally.
Yeah, he was a big villain for Wally. He has that amazing Justice League episode. Like, in the future with the caveman Superman, like, it's all... Yeah. And, yeah, they just... It's that power scaling thing, right? Like, as we've gone on in years and they've created more and more villains and heroes, they're all, like, walking nuclear reactors now. What is Vandal Savage?
They power scaled themselves out of an ability to easily utilize a lot of different characters.
It's 100%. And that's not just Batman. That's, like, everybody. That's why you see a lot of... Like Airwave. Like, stupid character, doesn't really have powers... But he was around a lot back in the 80s because he could still do stuff. It wasn't, we're going to fight nuclear alien war. But now that it is, what is he going to do? So, yeah, the first time we see him is absolute power after like 40 years. So, so then from there, Bruce visits Leslie, just, gets patched up, makes it home. We get this sort of final little montage here, and we learned that... somebody shoots Mayor Nakano, and Bruce's brother is making a play against him for Wayne Tech. And that's sort of what we end on is, Bruce, do you have a brother? Which we all know he does not. And that's sort of where our leadoff is regarding all that. So, yeah, definitely leaves us in the more mystery camp, which I'm really excited for. You got the murder of Mayor Nakano.
I'm all here for a good Batman
Who's the
mystery.
brother? Who's the... what is Eddie up to? It's all a really good setup right now. The writer on this book right now is still Chip Zdarsky, who he can be hit or miss depending on what he's writing. His Daredevil run was pretty good. The beginning of his Batman, like the failsafe storyline, is really cool, and then it kind of just his run kind of teeters out and kind of just stagnates because I'm assuming because he was like, you just got to tread water till absolute power. So he's like, fine, okay, I'll get it there.
Was it him that was on Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man?
Yes, it was him. Yeah, when they brought that back. I like Chip Zdarsky. I think more often than not he hits, and I think he has a good understanding of superhero drama. Like Mark Waid knows how to write all aspects of superheroes. And I wouldn't say Chip's that strong yet, but when you have your heroes on the outs is when he's really strong. When their convictions have to be tested. I've shared it probably 4 times alone in the last month in your server, Andrew, but that page of when Spider-Man goes to confront Daredevil after Daredevil kills the guy, and he's like, you better give it up or whatever. And then there's the first confrontation where Daredevil's like, you're right, I give it up. And he gives his mask to Spider-Man, and there's this tension where Spidey wasn't expecting that. And he kind of just goes I'll be watching you. And then the story goes on, and then Matt goes back out in action, and Spidey goes to his house, and he's like, what did I tell you? And you get that awesome scene where Matt's like, I don't care, and you're a criminal right now. You're trespassing. And he's like, so what are we going to do about it? And you get that awesome dialogue box where they're staring down, and Matt's like, please make the right choice. Please make the right choice. And Pete's like, I'll be back. And he leaves, and Matt just immediately collapses, and he's like, if I took one punch, Spider-Man would have killed me, even if he wasn't trying. And so Chip's really good when the chips are down. When he gets a little more lighthearted, when he tries to write more humor, he can get a little millennial with it, and not like Tumblr, but sort of like you can tell he's like trying a little too hard to make a reference or something, and you go, Chip, okay, but for
Hey,
the most
fellow
part,
kids.
I don't know if I want to go that far, but it is very much in that vein of like, you're trying, but it's really bad. Just stick with normal dialogue. You know who was surprised? Okay, so that's the end of Batman. Let's see. Do you have anything else you want to say about Batman?
No, I thought this was a really, really strong start, and I'm looking forward to issue 2. And seeing what All In is all about.
My thoughts exactly, completely here for it. We've got more All In books coming down the line. I read the Shazam book. Its writing is really good. We don't have to really go into it. The writing is really cute and endearing on the new Captain or on Shazam, whatever it is. The art is awful, and it makes it so I can't really stand reading it, but I will give the writer props. I shared a page with Andrew the other day, and the interaction and the way it all feels natural and it's good, but the art is just, it's I can't stand it. I can't do it. But I wanted to bring up, and I hope I can, just because you brought up the topic of like hello fellow kids and slang and stuff, I was really surprised because like I said, I was reading the did I skip the page I was looking for? I was reading Shazam, the Mark Waid run with Dan Mora, and surprisingly, Mark Waid knows how to use like contemporary slang without it being like stupid, and also it making sense, if that makes any sort of sense. I'm trying to find, dang it, where is the page? But because I'm going through the trade paperback now, I don't remember exactly where it was. Dang it, I can't, maybe it's not there, but I don't remember what it is, but there's like like he uses like oh yeah, this is fire or whatever, but like it works. I wish I had it right here to show you, because the way I say it, it's gonna sound fellow kidsy, but I'll find it, I'll share it with you. I'll share it on share it on the foil variant community tab. But I bring it up because I was like, really, Mark Waid of all people, like old, like insane person,
old frickin' curmudgeon-y Mark Waid.
He knows how to sort of use slang. It's not like he's not going like overbearing, but it's like, oh yeah, that's fire, like very casual, doesn't bring attention. I don't know, it works. So I just wanted to give a quick prop to Waid for that. We are at 3 hours already. Do you have time for like one last thing?
What's the thing?
I just want to show you real quick.
A couple minutes.
I know. We'll wrap up here. DC's. I know what you did last Crisis. I know you haven't read it yet. Don't worry. But the main thing I wanted to bring up, and I won't spoil it for you because, well, first of all, I want to show you that because it's your boy Ken Marion.
That's my boy.
Taking care of Dr. Light. Like it's awesome. Even when I was reading this before I knew who it was, I read this story and I didn't know who it was, and I was like, I like this art, but I also feel like this person's right up Andrew's alley. Like this feels Michael Turner, Jay Scott, and then I went and I was like, it's Ken. Of course it is.
It's my boy.
but that's a really good story. But the one I wanted to just sort of highlight real quick and note to everybody is this issue does contain a alternate ending to Infinite Crisis that actually deals with Nightwing dying instead of Superboy, which was the original plan from Dan Didio before everybody went, no, that's a stupid idea, don't do that. It's very much a story that feels like Dan, get over it already. But I will say, when you do read it, Andrew, it kind of works. It's not as dumb as you would have imagined this sort of story being. And it really took me by surprise, because I know I told you, like, when that solicit dropped and they were like, and a special Infinite Crisis story by Dan Didio, I was like, stop, get over it. Like, we don't need that. We know what your plans were. Just accept the L. But
we know you hate Dick Grayson.
Right.
Go away.
But I'll admit, the way everything handled here, aside from the art, I'm not a big fan of whoever this artist is. They're fine. They're serviceable. There's nothing to write home about. But you will not be as disappointed as you would have imagined. So that's all I'll say to that. I know I have your copy. It's sitting right over there. You'll get it eventually. But I just wanted to highlight that because it's Infinite Crisis and we've talked about it.
Yes, we have.
All right.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to reading that then.
Yeah, so eventually it'll get to you with your Batman covers and whatever other 900 books I buy for you. But with that, like Andrew said, we got to get out of here. We kind of been running long. We're still trying to get a bearing on our timing. But guys, I don't know about you. We just get caught up in this. This is stuff we love talking about. I hope you guys enjoy the conversation as much as we do. I know it goes long, but hey, maybe you got some chores to take care of. Maybe you're on a road trip. Maybe this is exactly what you need to just unwind. And we appreciate you. We thank every single one of you guys for showing up, from Punk to Taylor Swift to Zero to, oh gosh, who else was here? Mary was here for a little while. She might still be here listening. Subhuman. I'm trying to remember.
Space Dave.
Space Dave was here. Gorilla Mar was here. I'm trying to remember the specific guy. Oh my gosh, he was here earlier and we were talking to him. His name starts with a
Clone
C.
Geek.
Clone Geek. Thank you. I wanted to say like Kolu Geek, but I'm like, nobody's naming themselves after the Brainiac home planet. Like, that's not a thing. Nobody's doing that. So yeah. We see all you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us through this through these live streams and in the future. And also thank you to everybody who watches us in the VOD, the replay, or watches us and doesn't comment. We see you guys. We see our view count. Couldn't be doing this without you. We love doing it, obviously. I mean, I think the testament to the show is that I come in here thinking we'll probably peter out at 2 hours, and here we are at 3:15 being like, we gotta go. So I know you gotta go, so I'll let you promo yourself out. What do you want the people to know? Where can they find you?
Well, you can find me over on Twitch and YouTube here at Caffeinated Wolf, where I do some game streams on the weekends, do a Saturday afternoon solo stream, and I do Sunday night community streams, which hopefully Spencer will join at some point and get his butt kicked in Smash.
I will join Smash Night again when the connection is better, and that's not even a zero joke. I don't know what happens when you all play Smash. I'm watching
Nintendo
it at like,
servers are super picky with what they decide they want to actually freaking work with the combinations. And so you can also find me often over on Mary's channel, streaming on Saturday evenings, and sometimes on her Patreon streams as well. So make sure you check out Mary Mayhem's channel. Last week we had a ton of fun playing Among Us. Spencer was there.
I was the imposter 5 out of the 7 games we played. This game.
They kept picking you. They kept picking you. It was ridiculous. They had it out for you, man. Stop Asian hate.
Stop Asian hate Among Us.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. Otherwise, you guys can find me over with the Rippaverse crew. We do. Oh yeah, that's right. We're gonna be doing Dead by Daylight this month. So,
nice.
Spencer, you are invited to that.
On Mary's or on the Rippaverse?
On Mary's.
Awesome.
On Mary's. So,
oh yeah, we were talking about that. That's right.
Yeah, we were talking about that last week. You're invited to join us when we do that. I think Mary was wanting to do like a test, just kind of fun playing that this Saturday. So you're
totally
invited
in
to that.
Oh, I should text her. She called me the other day. I totally forgot to get back to her.
All right. Well, now you know.
now we know.
That's it for me, guys. Thank you so much, as Spencer said, everybody who watched this evening, everybody who chatted, everybody who watches the VOD afterwards and leaves a comment. We appreciate you guys, and we hope you keep coming back. We're going to keep trying to grow the show and talking more comics, because comics are fun. Growing
the show, talking more comics. We'll have more content, things for you. Hey, if we get big enough, we can do more like solo streams, like somebody asked for something. Oh, the Witchblade comparison. Like maybe we can make that like a single video. Who knows? The future is bright for all of us. The future is bright for once for DC. The future is bright for Venom, and hopefully the future is bright for all of you guys. I guess I should probably outro myself. Go to boundingintocomics.com. Check out the news there every day where we got new stories going up. Smash that like button and everything for foil variant. Go over to my channel, Studio Kabuto. Check me out there. And yeah, hang out. And we will see you, I guess, next week. That's all I've got. Andrew?
Appreciate you guys.
Take it easy, everyone.
Never before have we had greater face a complex, rapidly changing world. Think of it a moment.
It is a world in which supersonic speeds are commonplace. It is a world that has seen the coming of the atomic bomb. It has seen the rise of the total state, the dictator, and the mass man. It is a world of new sensations, new excitements, new distractions.
So much to be learned by so many in so little time.
And I suppose you're here with no agenda, as per usual?
On the contrary, I'm here for comics.
How's your comic book collection, Brody?